Chapter 152. She interrupted him. That was just a way for me to get close to you. I pretended to be an old acquaintance. Didn't you see through it? After a moment of silence he said, "What do you need my help with?" He seemed to have always treated her as a liar and had never asked her these questions. Nothing. I just wanted to get an advertisement for Glamour magazine. Didn't I successfully sign an advertisement contract with your company? He shook his head. He didn't believe it. What had happened in the past few months replayed in his mind like a movie. He didn't believe that she got close to him for such a simple purpose. He was even more suspicious of her saying that they didn't know each other in the past. However, he didn't have the energy to confront her now. "I'll leave first." Xiaodong didn't want to say anything more. She opened the door and walked out. Old Madame Dowager and Su Yunqian were sitting in the corridor. When they saw her come out, their eyes fell on her at the same time. Xiaodong nodded at them. "He's tired. I'll leave first." She didn't wait for them to answer and left directly. She was also very tired and didn't want to pretend to be polite to them. Old Madame Dowager and Su Yunqian had different expressions. After a moment of silence, Old Madame Dowager said, "Yunqian, you've been tired all night. Go back and rest first." "No, Grandma. I'm fine. I want to stay and take care of Han. Even if you can bear it, the child in your belly can't. Listen to me and go back to rest." Old Madame Dowager's unintentional words made Su Yunqian's body stiffen and her face turn pale. "What's wrong? Did something happen?" Old Madame Dowager looked concerned. Su Yunqian covered her mouth and sobbed softly. "Grandma, I'm sorry. The child was accidentally lost. Han finally decided to keep the child, but I didn't protect him. I didn't dare to tell you because I was afraid that you'd be angry with me. Han has already ignored me because of this. If you continue to ignore me, then I'll. She choked with sobs. The old madam did not expect this to happen. She patted her shoulder with heartache. "Don't be sad. You're still young. You can have another child in the future." Although the old madam was heartbroken, she was secretly relieved. Xiao Yi's condition was gradually improving, and she was very sensitive to Yun Qian. If she knew that Yun Qian had a child, she might be agitated. Now that the child was gone, it could be considered a good thing. Su Yunqian wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes with a handkerchief. "Grandma, can I ask you for a favor? If there's anything, just say it. I want to ask you not to tell Mommy Bai and the others about my pregnancy and the loss of my child. Also, don't mention this in front of Han. I don't want him to hate me every time he thinks about this." Su Yunqian's pregnancy, old madam did not tell the rest of the family, mainly because she had not decided whether to keep the child or not. If the whole family knew about it, it would be difficult for her in the future. "Okay, I won't say anything." Han is a stubborn person. It wasn't easy for him to decide to keep the child, but now the child is gone. It's understandable that he's angry. You should understand him. "Grandma, I know. I'll wait for him to forgive me." "Yunqian, you'd better go back and rest first. You just had a miscarriage. You need to take care of your body." "But Han, it's not urgent." "Go back quickly." Su Yunqian hesitated for a long time. "Okay, Grandma. I'll go back first. I'll ask the servants to bring the soup in the kitchen." "Okay, go ahead." In the brain surgeon's office, Bailey Xiong said, "Doctor, what's the result of my son's head examination?" The doctor did a head MRI and head CT scan for Bailey Han. He took the examination report and said, "Mr. Bailey, young master's brain injury this time is not serious except for a slight concussion. However, we found a low-density shadow in his left parietal lobe with a vague boundary. There is a substantial shadow in the rest of his brain. It should be an old injury." Bailey Xiong said nervously, "Yes, my son had a car accident 5 years ago and his brain was seriously injured." "What do you mean by shadow? Could it be a tumor?" "It's not a tumor. It may be a remnant of the previous injury." Bailey Xiong was shocked and thought of something. It was very likely that the shadow was that thing. "Mr. Bailey, young master still needs a detailed examination. After the location of the foreign body is clear, we will use the treatment method of surgery to treat it." "Doctor, will the foreign body in my son's brain affect him?" For the time being, it doesn't affect young master. But it's hard to say because the foreign body is likely to oppress his nerves and have other effects. Bailey Xiong was silent for a while and said, I need to discuss it with my family before making a decision. The detailed examination results came out. The shadow in Bailey Han's brain was a remnant of the car accident 5 years ago. After the family's discussion, they decided not to perform surgery and let him stay as he was. However, in the eyes of the doctor, it was like a time bomb that could explode at any time and kill him. Since the family did not agree to the surgery, there was nothing they could do. During Bailey Han's hospitalization, Su Yunqian went to the hospital 3 times a day. Unfortunately, he did not take her seriously at all and did not even want to look at her. He was in good health and was discharged from the hospital after 2 days. Except for the pain in his head, his other bodily functions had returned to normal. Xia Dong's injuries were basically healed. She was holding Xiao Guai and teaching her arithmetic when her cell phone rang. It was Bailey Han. Hello, Mr. Bailey. How are you feeling? Bailey Han's deep voice came from the other side. Call me Bailey Han. Oh. She was a little embarrassed. Bailey Han, are you feeling better? Much better. I'll be discharged today. She smiled. Then I'm relieved. He seemed to be in a good mood and chuckled. Are you worried about me? She couldn't help but grip her cell phone tightly and coughed. You were injured because of me. Of course I'm worried about you. He paused for a moment and said in a serious tone, Then how do you plan to repay me for saving your life? She was silent for a moment. Are you really Bailey Han? Was he really not Bailey Yun in disguise? What kind of person am I in your heart? Cold on the outside but warm on the inside. He smiled faintly. He was not warm to everyone. Xia Dong hesitated for a moment and asked, Well, how is Xiao Yi? That day, he also suffered a lot. Even an adult like her was traumatized by the sight of blood, let alone a child. He rubbed his eyebrows. I heard from Grandma that he had a nightmare on the first night. He's fine now. What worries me is that he still doesn't want to talk. She bit her lip and comforted him. Don't worry. Xiao Yi will get better slowly. He just needs some time to overcome his psychological barrier. He was silent for so long that she thought he had hung up the phone. He suddenly said, On the day you were kidnapped, I suddenly understood what you said. For Xiao Yi and you, I'm willing to give up my life. Her body stiffened and she had difficulty breathing. Her blood flow was not smooth. Did she hear wrongly? He said that he was willing to give up his life for her and Xiao Yi. She held her cell phone and didn't dare to speak. She tried to convince herself that she was dreaming. He smiled bitterly. I only dared to admit my feelings for you when I was delirious. Even if you lied to me, I still fell in love with you like a fool. No, don't say any more. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. Xia Dong hung up the phone in a panic. She hugged Xiao Guai in a daze. Her heart was beating very fast in her chest. She couldn't help but imagine the scene of him hitting the pillar in the wind. Mommy, what's wrong? Xiao Guai shook Xia Dong's arm. Her little face was filled with worry. Mommy is fine. Gigai, let's continue. Xia Dong tried hard to shake off those wild thoughts. She picked up a book and continued to teach her daughter arithmetic. Bailey Han held his cell phone in silence. He closed his eyes and rubbed his forehead. He must be crazy. He knew it was impossible between them, but he still wanted to tell her his feelings for her. She was Mika Kito's woman. She was Mika Kito's woman. He reminded himself twice. He wanted to throw her to the back of his mind, but her figure became clearer. There was a soft knock on the door. He said, Come in. Lin Yi walked in. Mr. Bailey, are you okay? Bailey Han extended his hand and gestured for him to sit. I'm fine now. Dr. Lin, I invited you here to ask you something. Xiao Yi clearly spoke when I was injured, but now he's not saying anything. What's going on? Lin Yi furrowed his eyebrows. Can you be more specific? What happened? Bailey Han crossed his arms and told him everything that happened that day in detail. Of course, he didn't mention Xia Dong's name and that old Mo came for revenge. After that, he told her about how little Wingzi had cried while he was unconscious. Lin Yi thought about it seriously for a few seconds before saying, I think little Wingsy's autism is almost fully recovered. The reason why he doesn't want to talk now is probably because he feels guilty and doesn't know how to communicate with you. You also said that little Wingsy felt very guilty. He felt that he was the cause of this kidnapping and your injury. Then what should we do? Communicate with him patiently. You have to send a message that you love him very much. The kidnapping has nothing to do with him. It's not his fault that you're injured. Use positive emotions to influence him and let him walk out of his guilt. Also, divert his attention. Don't let him think about it all the time. I understand. Thank you, Dr. Lin. You're welcome. Let me know if you need me. Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 153. When he sent Lin Yi downstairs, Bailey Han saw Xiao Yi open the door and poke his head out. His eyes flashed as soon as he saw them. He quickly returned to his room and closed the door with a bang. How could he get rid of his psychological barrier? Bailey Han rubbed his eyebrows and thought. Bailey Han told the whole family about Lin Yi's suggestion. They resolutely carried out a series of measures. They never mentioned the kidnapping and took extra care of Xiao Yi. Bailey Han didn't go to the company either. He accompanied him every day. Lu Zihao reported to him on the phone, and important documents were sent home for his approval. He and little Wingsy bathed Lil P together. Because the young master had no experience in bathing pets, Lil P became uncomfortable. Lil P shook its fur angrily, causing the two of them to be drenched in water. With their faces full of water droplets, they went upstairs to change their clothes with the same serious expression. The servants who were hiding and peeking all covered their mouths and laughed wildly. They sat cross-legged on the floor and played video games or go together. Bailey Han also taught Xiao Yi how to swim, how to shoot darts, and took him to ride the roller coaster. In short, he would bring little Wingsy along to experience any games that children played. At night, when he was lying in bed, he would take out books such as How to Play with Children and How to Be a Good Father from under his pillow and study them. The results of playing with his son were obvious. His son no longer avoided his gaze and would smile brightly at him. He was no longer like a little old man with a straight face all day. Unfortunately, his son still refused to speak. He had the patience to cure his son, but Lu Zihao couldn't take it anymore. Lu Zihao was about to cry. It had been a week, a whole week. As the CEO of Shenghao Group, he didn't go to the company but stayed at home with his son. There were a lot of rumors in the company and a lot of problems had piled up in various departments. CEO, please, hurry back to the company. Lu Zihao almost hugged Bailey Han's leg and cried. I know, I'll go to work tomorrow. Bailey Han knew that it wasn't easy for Lu Zihao to withstand the pressure from the board of directors for so long. Bailey Han thought for a while and called Xia Dong. Xia Dong, I have to go back to work tomorrow. Can you bring Xiao Bao over to visit Xiao Yi? Is it inconvenient? Madam doesn't seem to want us to contact with Xiao Yi. Besides, he's almost recovered. Xia Dong's head hurt. She had a headache. She wanted to see Xiao Yi, but Madam hated her because of Bailey Han's injury. Would she still allow her to bring Xiao Bao to visit Xiao Yi? Moreover, she didn't dare to see Xiao Yi. Han didn't want to see him again. I'll take care of Grandma. It's precisely because little Wingsy has already made great progress that I don't want to fail at the last step. With little treasure here, I'm very relieved. His voice was calm and rational, without a trace of selfishness, causing her to gradually lower her guard. Okay then, if you can convince Madam. Wait for my news. This time, it wasn't difficult to convince Madam. She only had one condition. Han, you've neglected Yun Qian for so long. No matter how angry you are, it's time to let it go. If you want me to agree, that's fine. From today onwards, you and Yun Qian will resume contact. You're not allowed to refuse her calls, and you're not allowed to shut her out. Okay, no problem. It was just resuming contact. This was simple. Madam wasn't easy to deal with. Call her right now and invite her over for dinner tonight. Okay. Bailey Han's expression was indifferent. After dialing the number, he calmly said the invitation. Su Yunqian was naturally ecstatic. She thought that Bailey Han was the first to extend an olive branch, which meant that he had forgiven her. Of course, she happily accepted the invitation. Grandma, I've already made the call. When Xia Dong comes over tomorrow, don't give her a hard time. Am I that kind of person? Madam was angry and unconvinced. The banquet seemed normal, but in fact, there was an undercurrent surging. Bailey Han ate quietly and elegantly. Occasionally, he would pick up food for Xiao Yi and ignore the others. Madam, who was sitting opposite him, poked his leg with her walking stick. He received her threatening gaze and picked up Su Yunqian's favorite food. He put it on her plate and smiled. Yunqian, this is your favorite osmanthus fish. Try it. Thank you. Su Yunqian smiled faintly and used her chopsticks to pick up his favorite pork ribs. Before her arm reached his plate, Xiaoyi suddenly slammed her chopsticks on the table. She was shocked and her chopsticks shook. The pork ribs flew into Bailey Han's arms. Everyone's gaze shifted to them. The servant hurried forward and wiped Bailey Han's face. Han, I'm sorry. Her cheeks were burning. She had never lost her composure in front of so many people. It's okay. I'll go upstairs and change. Bailey Han pushed his chair away and stood up. Xiaoyi acted as if nothing had happened. She picked up her chopsticks and ate quietly. Su Yunqian gritted her teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. That damn brat, he must be doing it on purpose. How did old Mo and his group of trash kill him last time? He was like a bomb, constantly reminding her that her weakness was in his hands, and he could destroy her at any time. What did she have to do to shut him up forever? The next day, Xia Dong brought Xiao Bao to Bailey's old residence. She had already prepared herself for people to roll their eyes at her, but she didn't expect the butler to be so nice to her. Xiao Bao went upstairs and was not as lively as usual. He leaned over to Xiao Yi's ear and chattered non-stop. He silently squatted in front of Xiao Yi and looked her up and down with his clear eyes. Xiao Yi felt uncomfortable under his stare. Xiao Bao suddenly said, Bailey Yi, do you know that sometimes I really hate you to death? Xiao Yi's small body stiffened. Sure enough, everyone hated him because of that incident. Xiao Bao hit his forehead hard. You're really annoying. You obviously know how to talk, but you don't say it. You make everyone so anxious. Even my mommy cried a few times because of you. That woman cried because of him? It seemed like something she would do. When she was kidnapped, she even took a bullet for him. It wasn't unusual for her to cry because of him. Xiao Bao saw that he was in a daze and snorted coldly. Let me tell you, don't think that my mommy is pretending just to get close to your daddy. My mommy doesn't want to get close to him. If it wasn't for Gigai. Forget it, I won't say so much to you. Gigai. Xiaoyi suddenly turned her head and stared at Xiao Bao. What's wrong with Gigai? Oh, you're finally willing to talk. Xiao Bao glared at her angrily. Gigai is my sister. Why are you so concerned about her? Xiao Yi choked on his words. Her round face puffed up and her eyes sparkled. She paused for a few seconds and said, She's my friend. It's natural for me to care about her. Humph. Who was the one who poured a drink on Gigai and caused her to fall ill? Xiao Bao was very vengeful. He would remember anyone who dared to hurt the people he cared about for the rest of his life. I was wrong at that time. I apologize. Even though Xiao Yi was apologizing, she still looked insufferably arrogant. Can you tell me now what happened to Gigai? Also, why did a drink cause her to fall ill? What's wrong with her? Xiao Yi's eyes had a sharpness that didn't match her age. She caught the information that Xiao Bao had inadvertently revealed in his words. Xiao Bao rolled his eyes and sat across from him. Crossing his short legs, he said, I can tell you, but you have to tell me who your mommy is first. Xiao Yi's expression darkened. I don't know either. She passed away right after I was born. Have you seen her picture? He lowered his head sadly. No, I don't know what she looks like. How did your mommy pass away? Xiao Yi clenched her fists and gritted her teeth. They said that she eloped with someone and got into a car accident, but I don't believe them. I think she's still alive. Xiao Bao didn't know how to comfort him. He patted his little shoulder and changed the question. Bailey Yi, how old are you this year? Xiao Yi stared at him. Why are you asking this? His mind jumped too quickly. Don't worry about it. Just tell me the answer. Xiao Bao had always been brooding over the fact that Bailey Han had abandoned the three of them and had a child with someone else. Therefore, he really wanted to find out who Bailey Han had given birth to Bailey Yi, and when he had started to betray his mother. Xiao Yi thought of his condition and answered reluctantly, 4.5 years old. Xiao Bao's pupils shrank. He and Xiao Guai were also 4.5 years old. Bailey Han, that bastard, was actually fooling around with another woman when his mommy was pregnant. He was so angry. He gritted his teeth and asked, "Then what's your birthday?" "The 6th of February. Xiao Bao was petrified. The 6th of February. His and Xiao Guai's birthdays were also on the 6th of February. Boo-hoo, he was going to kill that bastard Bailey Han. No one was going to stop him. Xiao Bao suddenly jumped up from the ground. With a fierce expression, he walked out without a word. Xiao Yi was dumbfounded and called out to him, "Hey, where are you going?" Xiao Bao turned around and bared his teeth sinisterly. "I'm going to kill Bailey Han." Xiao Yi was stunned at first. Then, he held his stomach and laughed heartily. Still not satisfied, he lay on the ground and copied Xiao Bao's old actions. He rolled and laughed like a happy puppy. Xiao Bao's face darkened. He was actually being laughed at by this annoying guy. The corners of his mouth twitched. "Stop laughing. Ha ha ha." Xiao Yi seemed to want to make up for all the laughter he hadn't used in the past 4 years. He rolled around on the ground happily. Xiao Bao was completely enraged. His eyes were round and round. "Fine, keep laughing. Don't think that I'll tell you about Xiao Guai." Xiao Yi stopped laughing and turned around to sit up. He raised his little chin and his eyes were full of disdain. "Xia Xiao Bao, you're not a man. You don't keep your word. I despise you." Beauty novel, Song Shu 566. Chapter 154. Xiao Bao raised his eyebrows, a mischievous glint in his black eyes. "I'm not a man, I'm a child." This time, it was Xiao Yi's turn to grit his teeth in anger. "Xia Xiao Bao, you cheated." "Humph, all's fair in war." "Bailey Yi, I'm sorry." Xiao Yi's eyes widened. He seemed to have thought of something and suddenly curled his lips. "It's okay if you don't tell me. I'll find out myself. Take your time." Xiao Bao shrugged nonchalantly. "If you have the ability to find out, it'll prove that what I said is true." Xiao Yi snorted. "Don't worry. After I find out, I'll tell great-grandmother about it so that she won't have to worry." He could tell that great-grandmother didn't like Xiaodong either. It was as if she was afraid that she would steal Daddy away. Xiao Bao glared at him. "You win. So, are you willing to tell me the truth now?" Xiao Yi crossed his arms arrogantly. Xiao Bao glared at him fiercely. "I can tell you, but you have to swear on your mommy's name that you won't tell anyone about this. If you break your oath, your mommy will never be reincarnated." Xiao Yi said angrily, "That's too cruel of an oath." Xiao Bao shrugged. "As long as you don't break your oath, everything will be fine." Xiao Yi was conflicted. In the end, his curiosity won out. He gritted his teeth and said, "I swear that I won't tell anyone about what you told me. Otherwise, my mommy will never be reincarnated." "Okay, you can tell me now." "Humph, very good. You have to remember your oath." Xiao Bao patted his shoulder in satisfaction. This is what happened. Xiao Bao only talked about his sister's illness and how his mother had no choice but to give birth to a child with the same blood as Gigai to save Gigai. As smart as Bailey Yi was, he immediately reacted. His eyes widened in disbelief. "So you and Xiao Guai are also Daddy's children?" "That's right." Xiao Bao pouted in disdain. "But I won't acknowledge him. He abandoned the 3 of us and even had you with another woman. He's so despicable." Xiao Yi didn't recover from the huge shock for a long time. He stared blankly at the floor. His daddy actually had 2 children with another woman. "Hey, are you stupid?" Xiao Bao poked his arm with his finger. "You've already sworn that you won't tell anyone. Do you hear me?" No, that's impossible." Xiao Yi grabbed his hair angrily. "Didn't you say that your daddy is Mika Kito?" Xiao Bao rolled his eyes. "I was lying to you. If my daddy is Uncle Shin, I have no reason not to take his surname." "You're lying to me." "You must be lying to me." "Xia Xiao Bao, I won't believe you." Xiao Bao sneered. I'm lying to you? What's the benefit of lying to you? Let me tell you, I've never liked you because your mother seduced Bailey Han and made him abandon my mother. No, that's not it. My mother isn't that kind of person. Daddy must know my mother first. Xia Xiaobao, you're not allowed to speak ill of my mother. Humph, whether you believe it or not, that's what happened. Xiaobao didn't back down and stared into his eyes. Xiao Yi rushed up angrily and grabbed Xiaobao's collar. The two little guys wrestled with each other. Bailey Yi, I'm warning you. Don't hit my face. Xia Xiaobao, don't grab my hair. Let go of me. The two of them fought for more than 10 minutes before they finally got tired. They grabbed each other's necks and lay on the floor, panting. Bailey Yi, let go. You let go first. Let's let go together. I'll count to 3. Xiaobao counted to 3, but the two sly guys didn't let go. They were still grabbing each other's necks. If you don't let go, I'll suffocate to death. I'll count to 3 again. Okay, Xia Xiaobao, don't play any more tricks. Xiaobao's little face was red from suffocation. He counted to 3 again. This time, the two of them let go at the same time. They were panting and staring at each other with eyes that said, I can't wait to bite you to death. The two little guys were injured. Xiaobao took a punch to the cheek. Xiao Yi's hair was a mess, and there was a bunch of hair on the floor that had been thrown away. Their clothes were messy and they were in a sorry state. After a few minutes, the two of them calmed down. Xiao Yi was still immersed in the huge blow. She gritted her teeth and said, If you and Xiao Guai were daddy's children, wouldn't you want to acknowledge him? Xiaobao sneered, I won't acknowledge someone who abandoned me. As for Xiao Guai, she doesn't even know who daddy is. She also doesn't know what illness she has. So don't let it slip in the future. Xiao Yi was stunned. After a while, she asked, Is Xiao Guai's illness serious? Xiao Bao's expression became serious. It's serious. It's very serious. Otherwise, my mommy wouldn't have been so desperate to get close to your daddy. Xiao Yi fell silent. She turned her back to Xiao Bao and curled her little body up. She still couldn't accept this. Xiao Bao suddenly felt sorry for her when she saw how lonely she looked. She hesitated for a few seconds, reached out, and patted her on the shoulder. She said softly, Don't worry. Xiao Guai and I won't fight over your daddy. Just pretend you never heard about this. But you have to treat my mommy better in the future. Even if it's because she's been so nice to you, you have to treat her a little better. Xiao Yi hugged his knees tightly and curled himself into a ball. His clear eyes gradually became misty. He bit his lip tightly and held back the tears that were about to come. Bailey Yi, I'm leaving. Don't pretend to be autistic. Hurry up and get better. Don't let your family worry anymore. Xiao Bao got up from the ground and looked down at him like an adult. How did you know I was pretending? Xiao Yi's voice was a little choked up. Xiao Bao rolled her eyes. Did you forget that I worked with you and asked you to pretend to be sick? Who knew that you were such a genius that you pretended to be autistic? Although you pretended to be autistic, I knew you had an ulterior motive. So, I observed you and found a small loophole. What loophole? Humph. It's because you treated me differently. Speaking of this, Xiao Bao became angry. The last time I brought Gigai to see you, you gave Gigai the pastry she liked, but you gave me the peanut butter that I hate. You must have done it on purpose. Which autistic child would be so scheming? Xiao Yi was silent. He was right. I did do it on purpose. Xiao Bao walked to the door and suddenly heard Xiao Yi's muffled voice from behind. Why is your mommy so nice to me? Xiao Bao blinked his large eyes. My mommy is kind. My mommy said that you are a child without a mommy. Although you have a bad temper, you are actually very pitiful. You yearn for a mother's love and friends, so she treats you very well. He snorted. She treats you so well that even I, her biological son, am jealous. Xiao Bao spoke casually, but Xiao Yi listened attentively. His body stiffened and his heart started to beat wildly. A bold idea popped into his mind. He was so excited that his voice trembled. Xia Xiaobao, is it possible that she is actually my mommy too? Xiao Bao's delicate eyebrows shot up. He widened his eyes and said angrily, What do you mean? Are you trying to steal my mommy? Roar, this damn annoying person. Did he eat a leopard's guts? No. Little Wingsy abruptly sat up, his eyes flashing with fanaticism. How old are you? When is your birthday? Xiao Bao's eyes narrowed. Same as you. 4.5 years old. My birthday is on the 6th of February. Xiao Yi suddenly rushed over and placed both hands on his shoulders. Isn't it obvious? We were both born on the same day. She cares about me and even took a bullet for me. If she isn't my mommy, why would she do that? What did you say? My mommy took a bullet for you? Xiao Bao was shocked. His eyes widened in disbelief. No, that's impossible. Xiao Yi nodded vigorously. When we were kidnapped, she stopped the kidnappers from hurting me many times. Also, I keep feeling that there's something wrong with the way she looks at me. It's like she's very sad. No, I don't believe it. Xiao Bao had always believed that Bailey Han abandoned his mommy and had Bailey Yi with another woman. Now that the plot had been reversed, it was destroying his belief. Xiao Bao violently pushed Xiao Yi away. It was as if he was being chased by a ferocious beast. He ran out of his room in a panic. Xiao Yi stared blankly at the empty doorway. After the shock and excitement, it was followed by endless pain. His little face was filled with grief. If she really was his mommy, why would she abandon him? Why? Xiao Bao, what's wrong? Xia Dong suddenly stood up from the sofa. She looked in shock at Xiao Bao, who was running down the stairs. His handsome little face was covered in tears. Xiao Bao threw himself at her. She quickly bent down and picked him up. Baby, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Quick, tell mommy. Xiao Bao looked at her anxious expression and burst into tears. She had never seen him cry so sadly. Her heart ached as well. She stroked his weak back to comfort him. Baby, it's okay. It's okay. Mommy is here. Mommy will take you home. She lovingly kissed her son's forehead. Ignoring the servant's curious gazes, she smiled apologetically at the butler. I'm sorry. Baby isn't feeling well. I'll take him home first. The butler thought that Xiao Bao had an argument with his young master. He bowed politely. Miss Xia, young Master Qi, please take care. Xia Dong carried her son and left. She didn't know that Xiao Yi was standing at the top of the stairs, looking at their backs with an expressionless face. Xiao Bao curled up in her arms. He was crying so hard that his tears soaked her clothes. She placed him in the front passenger seat. She pulled out a tissue and gently wiped the tears from his face. She said gently, Baby, tell mommy what happened. Xiao Bao gradually stopped crying. He raised his little face. His large eyes were still filled with tears. Mommy, is Xiao Yi also your child? Add, Hongcha 866. Chapter 155. Xiao Bao gradually stopped sobbing. He lifted his little face, and his big eyes were still filled with tears. Mommy, is Xiao Yi your child too? Xia Dong's breathing instantly stopped. Her beautiful eyes were instantly filled with shock. She fiercely pinched her palm before she found her voice again. Xiao Bao, why would you have such a strange thought? Then why did you take the bullet for him? Xiao Bao's face was filled with grief and indignation. Xia Dong pursed her lips and tried to calm herself down. He's a child, and mommy is an adult. It's normal for adults to protect children. Is that really the case? His dark eyes stared straight at her as if he wanted to look into the depths of her heart. Of course. Why would mommy lie to you? Xia Dong laughed dryly and patted his head. Don't let your imagination run wild. Let's go home. She started the car and looked straight ahead. She focused on driving as if nothing had happened. Xiao Bao's heart was filled with suspicion. He was not a 3-year-old child who could be fooled so easily. He had caught his mommy's flash of panic just now. He would definitely find out the truth. It was midsummer, and the weather could change at any moment. It was a poisonous day when they left the old Bailey mansion. They had just reached the foot of the mountain when it suddenly started raining heavily. The rain splashed against the car window. Xia Dong slowed down the car and glanced sideways at Xiao Bao, who was staring out the window in a daze. Baby, did Xiao Yi speak today? Xiao Bao had already begun to suspect that his mommy was also Bailey Yi's mommy. When he heard that she was concerned about him,
The suspicion in his heart intensified. He was very upset and said angrily, "She did."
It's a good thing that she spoke.
Xiaodong smiled, but then she thought about how Xiao Bao ran down the stairs crying.
Could it be that even Xiao Yi knew? Worry surfaced in her heart again. Her phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Mika Kito. "Hello, Brother Shin." Mika Kito stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window in the office and looked at the pouring rain outside. Her expression was a little heavy. "Are you home now? It's raining heavily outside." "Not yet. We just reached the foot of the mountain in the villa area." "Brother Shen, is something the matter?" Xia Dong noticed that his tone was a little heavy. Mika Kito rubbed her eyebrows. "Something happened in Japan. I need to go back to deal with it." Xia Dong frowned. "What's going on? Is it serious?" "Sumiyoshi Kai and Inagawa Kai have recently stolen a lot of Yamaguchi-gumi's business. I heard that Inagawa Kai has also smuggled a large number of drugs from Vietnam. They want to invade Yamaguchi-gumi's sphere of influence." The Sumiyoshi Kai and the Inagawa Kai were the two major Japanese gangs, second only to the Yamaguchi-gumi. The three gangs were harmonious on the surface, but in fact, there were undercurrents and constant struggles. They must have known that the leader of Yamaguchi-gumi was not in the Japanese headquarters, so they took the opportunity to seize territory. Mika Kito felt that drugs were too harmful, so she hated them very much. In her sphere of influence, the sale of drugs was prohibited. Mika Kito was aiming at this fat piece of meat and wanted to introduce drugs to her. Xia Dong quickly understood the seriousness of the matter and said, "Brother Shen, have you booked the plane tickets? When do you plan to go back?" "I'll rush back tonight. I'll ask Lu Xing to stay and protect you." Mika Kito had already asked Jiang Dao to pack his luggage and leave it in the office. After he settled the company's matters, he would take a plane back to Japan. "Okay, Brother Shin. You have to take care of yourself. Don't let yourself get hurt, okay?" Mika Kito smiled, and her eyes were filled with tenderness. "I know. You have to take care of yourself too. Take good care of the children and wait for me to come back." "I know." Xia Dong listened to him say a few more words and handed the earpiece to Xiao Bao. "Baby, Uncle Shen has something to say to you." "Uncle Shen, are you going back to Japan?" Xiao Bao put on the earpiece, puffed up his cheeks and said, "When will you come back?" "Half a month at least and a month at most. I'll be back as soon as possible." Mika Kito said softly, "Xiao Bao, you're already a man. You have to listen to mommy and take good care of Gigai, okay?" "Okay, I know. I'll also look after mom and not let her run around, lest she gets into trouble again." His voice was young, but his expression was serious. He looked like a little old man. The corners of Bai Tangshin's lips curled up. He was half joking and half serious. "If other men approach her, remember to chase them away." Xiao Bao nodded seriously. "Yes, that's right." Before Mika Kito left, she had already arranged everything. She was worried that Xia Dong would tire herself out, so she specially hired a nanny. In addition to Lu Xing, who was ordered to protect her, there was also a female bodyguard named Suzaku who rushed over from Japan to protect them. Suzaku arrived in China the next morning. She was very beautiful, charming, and gorgeous, but it was a pity that she had a cold expression on her face, as if someone owed her a lot of money. Xia Dong joked in Japanese, "Suzaku, I just found out that Yamaguchi-gumi has such a beautiful bodyguard like you." Suzaku replied in Chinese, "Strictly speaking, I'm not a member of Yamaguchi-gumi. I just signed an agreement with Mika Kito and worked for him." "Oh, I see." Xia Dong nodded in understanding. Suddenly, her eyes narrowed. "You're from China?" "Yes." Suzaku was a woman of few words. "Miss Xia, if there's nothing else, I'll go out first." "Okay, thank you for your hard work. I'll prepare a room for you." Xia Dong lived in a 3-bedroom apartment. She planned to let Xiao Guai sleep with her and leave Xiao Guai's room for Suzaku. As for Lu Xing, she would let him do whatever he wanted after work. Xia Dong had been unkind for a long time. "No, I have a house in a city." Suzaku had a villa in a city before she was sent to Japan by Mika Kito. It was obvious that being a killer was a high-risk, high-income profession. The rain didn't stop until evening. Bailey Han drove back to the old house. Immediately, a servant was waiting for him at the gate with an umbrella.
As soon as he opened the car door, the servant held the umbrella and said with a smile, "Young master, you're finally back."
Little master is speaking. A look of surprise flashed across Bailey Han's eyes. He quickened his pace and walked to the living room.
As soon as he reached the door of the living room, he heard the old lady's laughter and Xiao Yi's clear and tender voice. He seemed to be telling a joke, which made the old lady laugh.
Bailey Xiong and Bai Jinxiu were also sitting in the living room with smiles on their faces.
The servant took off his wet coat and hung it on the floor hanger.
Bai Jinxiu smiled and said, "Han, you're back at the right time. Come and listen to Xiao Yi's joke."
It made the old lady very happy.
"That's right. Come and listen too."
The old lady wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes.
No one could tell if they were tears of laughter or tears of joy. "Daddy, you're back." Xiao Yi stood up from the sofa and greeted him Gigai.
Bailey Han patted his head, picked him up and put him on his lap.
"What joke is Xiao Yi telling? Tell it to Daddy too." "Okay." His beautiful eyes curved. "But Daddy, I have a condition. If I can make you laugh, you have to promise me one thing. You've learned to negotiate with Daddy?" Bailey Han's eyes were smiling. His cold and handsome face seemed to soften a lot. He ruffled his hair. "Let's hear it."
He pursed his lips, and his dark eyes were filled with anticipation.
"Daddy, I want to thank Chief Editor Xia in person. I know that she took good care of me when I was sick." The old lady's expression changed. She wanted to say something, but in the end, she held back. Bailey Xiong and his wife's expressions were also a little ugly. Bailey Han's lips curved. "You should thank her, but I can only make a decision after I hear your joke." Little Wingzi's eyebrows also curved as he began to tell a lively joke. The joke itself was not very funny, but when paired with his rich facial expressions, it seemed particularly funny. Bailey Han looked at his little face brimming with smiles. That pair of eyes that were as bright as the stars made him smile from the bottom of his heart. He realized that after his son fell ill, he had become a little different. His expression had become richer, and he smiled more often. He enjoyed the change in his son. Before going to bed, Bailey Han went to Xiao Yi's room. He was already asleep. His small body lay on the bed and only took up a small space. He didn't seem to be sleeping very well, and his brows were slightly furrowed. Bailey Han reached out and smoothed out the wrinkles between his brows. He gently stroked his cheek. Just as he retracted his hand and stood up, he suddenly heard Xiao Yi's sleep-talking voice. "Mommy, don't go, don't abandon me." Bailey Han's breath stopped. When he came out of his son's room, he was in a terrible mood. He remembered that 4.5 years ago, the old madam had brought little Wingzy to him and told him that he had a child with a woman. At that time, he had been shocked and at a loss. He tried hard to recall what the woman who had given birth to his child looked like, but he could not recall. When Xiao Yi was 2 years old, he asked him where his mommy was. He couldn't answer, so he could only tell Xiao Yi the answer that the old lady told him. He said that his mommy was already dead. Xiao Yi didn't believe him. He said that his mommy wasn't dead. She just went somewhere far away. He even cried and asked him for his mommy. He was so angry that he hit Xiao Yi for the first time. Bailey Han didn't expect that Xiao Yi still didn't want to believe that his mommy was already dead. Sitting on the deck chair on the balcony, he was exposed to the night sky that had been washed by the rain. The cool air seeped into his heart, and his irritated mood gradually calmed down. However, he couldn't help but think of someone. His finger repeatedly scrolled through the contact list on his phone. He was hesitant. What was she doing at this time? Was she with Mika Kito? Bailey Han rubbed his brows. He persuaded himself that he called her for business. He just wanted to tell her that Xiao Yi wanted to see her. "Hello, Bailey Han?" Her voice was very soft and comfortable to listen to. Add Xinwu 799. Chapter 156. He paused. "Xia Dong, Xiao Yi is willing to talk." She smiled happily. "Congratulations." He smiled. "I'm very grateful for everything you've done." Xiao Yi is also very grateful. He wants to thank you in person. "When are you free? I'd like to treat you to a meal."
Well. Xiaodong glanced at the little guys who were playing games on the sofa.
It's okay.
We didn't do anything. His voice was low. Don't misunderstand.
I don't mean anything else.
If Mr. Beitang is willing to come, I'd be honored.
Xiaodong knew that he had misunderstood.
She quickly said, No, Brother Shen went to Japan.
He won't have any objections. I just don't think there's a need. She slapped her forehead gloomily. Xiao Bao was already suspicious. Maybe Xiao Yi was also suspicious.
She just wanted to fade out of Xiao Yi's sight temporarily.
I insist. Xiaodong, don't reject me.
He was like a supreme king announcing his decision.
I'll pick you and the children up at 6 o'clock tomorrow night.
But beep beep.
The call ended.
Xiaodong held her forehead helplessly.
He was too domineering. She hadn't even finished speaking.
Bailey Han knew that old madam didn't like Xiaodong, so he specially arranged for the banquet to be held in his villa to avoid awkwardness for Xiaodong. Although he and Xiao Yi hadn't returned to the villa for a long time, the servants still cleaned the place every day.
It was spotless.
When they returned, they didn't feel uncomfortable at all. According to his instructions, the butler added a rocking chair, hanging basket, seesaw, and other children's play facilities in the garden. In just one afternoon, the butler led the servants to decorate the villa's outdoor balcony into a Caribbean-style banquet venue. Under the blue sky and white clouds, the golden sunset covered the entire open-air balcony with a layer of faint radiance. Tall palm trees, coconut trees, and date trees exuded the unique fragrance of trees and fruits. Under the parasols, there were a few white reclining chairs placed side by side. The ground was covered with a layer of fine and soft white sand, which was said to be specially transported from overseas beaches. Not far away, there was a barbecue rack. A foreign chef in a chef's uniform had already started barbecuing the meat. The fresh meat sizzled on the barbecue rack, and the aroma of the meat permeated the air. A violinist stood by the railing, his back facing the setting sun as he played a melodious tune. Bailey Han was wearing a white tuxedo, and Xiao Yi was also wearing a white suit. When the father and son stood together, they looked exactly the same and were both extraordinarily handsome.
Everything was so charming.
The moment Xiaodong and the children stepped onto the balcony, they were immediately mesmerized. Xiao Guai's little face was red with excitement. He covered his face and screamed, "It's so beautiful! Mommy, it's exactly like the beach." Xiao Bao didn't say anything, but from his sparkling eyes, it was obvious that he liked it.
Xiaodong smiled faintly. It's very beautiful. We like it very much.
She was wearing a bohemian-style long dress. It was sleeveless and cinched at the waist, and the hem of the dress flowed elegantly.
It was extremely compatible with the sunny beach.
A gentle breeze blew and lifted her long hair.
She raised her chin slightly, feeling the comfort of the breeze. Her side profile looked tranquil and beautiful under the sunlight. She smiled.
Bailey Han, I also brought a guest over.
I hope you don't mind.
The guest Xiaodong was talking about was Suzaku, who was standing behind her. She didn't want to let Suzaku follow them, but she insisted. She said that it was Mika Kito's orders. She had to follow them when they went out, even when they went to buy groceries. Bailey Han raised his eyebrows in surprise.
Suzaku? I didn't expect you to work for Mika Kito now.
Suzaku was expressionless.
I admit defeat.
Bailey Han's thin lips curved. Your master ordered you to follow Xiaodong at all times, including when she goes on dates? Suzaku glanced at him indifferently. Mika Kito is worried that someone has kidnapped Miss Xia. Xiaodong wiped her sweat and quickly smiled. Suzaku, since you're here, don't just stand there.
Do whatever you like. I think Mr. Bailey won't mind, okay? She looked at Bailey Han for help. Bailey Han shrugged.
Of course he won't mind.
Miss Suzaku, please make yourself at home.
The last golden ray of the setting sun slid past the horizon. They were either lying or sitting on the beach, enjoying the delicious food and listening to the melodious music. It was as if they could hear the sound of the waves. The cool breeze blew gently and it was extremely comfortable. Bailey Han held orange juice in one hand and red wine in the other. He sat on the recliner beside her and handed her the orange juice. There was a gentle smile on his face.
Let me toast to you. Thank you for taking care of Xiaoyi these days. You can't drink alcohol, so orange juice can replace it.
I didn't do anything.
You don't have to be so polite. Xia Dong clinked her glass with his and smiled as she took a sip of the orange juice in her glass. Bailey Han tilted his head and looked at the three little rascals playing in the rocking chairs in the distance. He chuckled and said, "They are getting along very well now. I'm very happy that they have become friends. There is a kind of friend that is called no discord, no concord. Xiao Yi and Xiao Bao are like that." Xia Dong looked at them laughing and her heart softened. Her eyes were as bright as the stars and there was a charming smile on her face. Bailey Han's gaze fell on her. She was very beautiful when she smiled. Her eyes were curved like beautiful crescent moons. Her eyes were clean and clear without any impurities. Her happiness seemed to be very simple. As long as the children were happy, she would be happy too. She was very rational when she was working, but sometimes she would be silly when facing him. He couldn't help but want to get closer to her. Xia Dong received his passionate gaze. She touched her hair uncomfortably and smiled. "I'm going to see the children." She put down her glass and got up to leave. He suddenly grabbed her wrist. Her body stiffened and she didn't dare to look back. His voice was low and hoarse. "Xia Dong, who is the father of the children? Is it Mika Kito?" Xia Dong lowered her head. "Is the answer very important?" "It's very important to me." If it was Mika Kito, then he had no chance at all. He waited for her verdict. His heart was thumping. She closed her eyes and said slowly, "No." His throat bobbed. "Then who is it?" "He's no longer around." He tightened his grip on her wrist and pulled her into a warm embrace. Suzaku, who was sitting at the side quietly eating barbecued meat, put down her plate and stood up vigilantly. Her sharp eyes stared at Bailey Han. If he did anything out of line, she would not hesitate to take action. Bailey Han ignored her and said in a low voice, "Who is the father of the children you're carrying now?" Xia Dong smiled. "This time, it's Mika Kito." "No, I don't believe it." He pinched her chin and forced her to look into his eyes. His eyes were dark and deep, just like the sky before a storm. He lowered his voice with a hint of anticipation. "We've done it twice in total. I didn't use any protection on both occasions." She interrupted him. "No, it's not yours." The blood drained from his face. All his fantasies were shattered. She laughed self-deprecatingly. "That's right. What you're seeing now is the real me. I'm a promiscuous woman who's two-timing. You can use any word you like. Stop talking." He suddenly covered her mouth. There was a cold anger in his eyes. "I'm too stupid. This matter ends here." He used so much strength that it hurt her face. However, she did not make a sound or struggle. She only looked at him quietly. Her pair of clear and bright eyes were devoid of sorrow, joy, anger and displeasure. His heart was filled with grief and indignation. Why did he still have hope? Why did he end up humiliating himself? Suzaku said coldly, "Bailey Han, let go of Miss Xia. You're not allowed to bully my mommy. Let go of her." Xiao Bao realized that there was something wrong with the adults here. She jumped down from the rocking chair and rushed over without thinking. She kicked Bailey Han's long legs fiercely. Bailey Han slowly released his hand. His face was dark as he left the balcony without a word. He was in a terrible mood and needed to be alone to get some fresh air. With the crisis resolved, Suzaku sat down and continued to enjoy the food and wine. "Mom, are you all right?" Xiao Bao nudged Xia Dong, who was frozen on the spot, worriedly. "I'm fine." Xia Dong revealed a smile and sat down on the rocking chair. Xiao Yi also ran over and pointed at the fruit platter on the table. "Chief Editor Xia, the servants just delivered these fruits. What do you like to eat? I'll get it for you." He looked so cute in his white suit. Xia Dong couldn't help but pat his head. She smiled and said, "Thank you, Xiao Yi, but there's no need. I'm already full." "Brother, come over quickly. There's a little bug on the rocking chair. I don't dare to get down." Xiao Bao and Xiao Yi both ran away, leaving Xiao Guai alone on the rocking chair. She cried out pitifully, "Gigai, don't be afraid. I'll be right there." Xiao Bao ran away quickly.
Xiaodong stood up and wanted to follow, but Xiaoyi suddenly grabbed her finger. There was a sweet smile on her little face. Chief Editor Xia, I see a strand of white hair on your head. Can I pluck it out for you? Ah, white hair. Xiaodong was shocked. Was she that old? Yes, Auntie. You're a little shorter. I'll pluck it out for you. Xiaodong glanced at the rocking chair. Xiao Bao should have already removed the bug. Xiao Guai jumped down from the rocking chair. The siblings walked over hand in hand. Oh, okay. Then I'll have to trouble you. Xiaodong squatted down and lowered her head. She felt a pair of small hands caress her hair. Then, she felt a sudden pain. Are you done? She asked. Yes, I'm done. Xiao Yi quickly plucked it out and put it in his pocket. She looked up. Xiao Yi, let me see. Xiao Yi had already taken out a strand of white hair from his other pocket. He handed it to her. Actually, he picked it up from his great-grandmother's room. Attention, Hongcha 866. Chapter 157. Ah, my hair is really white. Am I really that old? Xiaodong was very sad. She was clearly not even 30 years old yet. Sob sob. Mommy, why are you squatting on the ground? Xiao Bao walked over with Xiao Guai and asked curiously. Bao Bao, Gigai, Mommy's hair is already white. If Mommy becomes an old woman, will you still love Mommy? Xiaodong hugged her children sadly and rubbed against them. Xiao Bao's face turned green. Mom, it's normal to have white hair. Look at the young man's white hair. He's still a teenager and he already has white hair. It's your fault for overusing your brain. When we go back, I'll research a diet to nourish you. I'm sure you'll be rejuvenated. Oh, that's true. But you haven't answered my question. When I become an old woman, will you despise me? Will you be like those unfilial children in the news and chase old grandpas and grandpas out of the house? Xiaodong seized the opportunity to instill the traditional virtues of filial piety. Xiao Bao rolled his eyes. Mom, I told you it's not good to watch too much TV. Look at you. You're still young and you're already suffering from paranoia. How scary. Xiao Guai's soft body wriggled in Xiaodong's arms. Mommy, don't worry. Even if you become an old woman, my brother and I won't despise you. Xiaodong was so happy that her eyes turned into crescents. Xiaoyi was almost petrified. Was this childlike woman really Xia Xiaobao and Xiao Guai's mommy? And could she really be their mommy? He couldn't help but touch the hair hidden in his pocket. It would only take a week for the paternity test results to come out and he would know the answer. Bailey Han went downstairs to the living room. He leaned on the sofa and rubbed his brows. Suddenly, the landline beside him rang. As soon as he picked up the call, old Madame Gu's unhappy voice came through. Han, you're in such a hurry to move back to the villa with Xiao Yi because you want to invite Xiaodong to a banquet, right? Grandma, Xiaodong has helped us a lot. You also agreed to let Xiao Yi thank her in person. Madame Dowager said angrily. I agreed, but I meant to invite her to the old mansion and make it clear in front of the whole family. Now you've secretly invited her to your house. If Yunqian finds out, what will she think? Bailey Han pressed his throbbing veins. Grandma, I've already broken up with Yunqian. No matter what I do in the future, I don't have to care about what she thinks. Break up? When did this happen? The old madam was shocked and angry. It's been more than half a month. The sound of something breaking came from the other end of the phone. Old madam was so angry that she was trembling all over. Bailey Han, you've grown up and I can't control you anymore, right? Why are you only telling me such an important thing now? Bailey Han held his forehead. Grandma, don't be so agitated. I just think that this is between me and her. There's no need for you to worry about it. Is this between the two of you? This is between the Bailey family and the Su family. Bailey Han, go back to the old mansion immediately and make things clear. Bailey Han lowered his voice. Grandma, I still have guests now. I'll go back early tomorrow morning. Okay? No. You have to come back now. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. It's because of Xiaodong that you've become like this. I'm telling you, you're not allowed to have any contact with her in the future. Come back quickly. Grandma, Bailey Han still wanted to persuade her, but Madame Dowager clutched her chest and cried out in pain. Bailey Han, you unfilial grandson. Are you trying to anger me to death? Ouch, my chest hurts so much. Bailey Han had a headache. Okay, I got it. Grandma, don't hurt anymore. I'll go back as soon as possible. Madame Dowager was the absolute leader in the family. No one dared to disobey her, including Bailey Han, who was very filial to her. Bailey Han returned to the balcony. Xia Dong was playing games with the children. When she saw him, she got up and said goodbye. It's getting late. I should go back. He nodded. I'll send you down. Watching the BMW disappear into the night, Bailey Han squatted down and patted Xiao Yi's head. Xiao Yi, I'm going to the old mansion to visit great-grandma. Go to bed early. Daddy, I want to go with you. I miss great-grandma and grandma too. Xiao Yi saw that his expression was serious. She had a premonition that something was going to happen, so she wanted to go with him. Bailey Han knew that a storm was coming for him. He didn't want his son to be affected. Xiao Yi, Daddy has something to deal with when he goes back. Gigai, stay at home. I'll take you back tomorrow, okay? Xiao Yi and Gigai nodded. After Bailey Han left, Xiao Yi ran into the living room to check the caller ID on the landline. She asked the butler, Grandpa Butler, did my great-grandma call just now? Otherwise, Daddy wouldn't have suddenly suggested going back to the old mansion. They had just moved back from the old mansion this morning. Yes. Little master. What did they talk about? Xiao Yi's big eyes were filled with eagerness and anticipation. Grandpa Butler, you were in the living room just now. You must have heard it, right? This. The butler wiped the sweat from his forehead. He couldn't speak carelessly. Grandpa Butler, just tell me, okay? Xiao Yi suddenly hugged the butler's leg. She raised her little face and looked at him with a pair of big eyes. She imitated Xiao Bao's cute expression perfectly. Little master. The butler was in tears. Who could tell him why the usually mature and calm little master suddenly became a cute little cutie? In the end, the old butler, who liked children, couldn't resist Xiao Yi's cute tactics. He wiped his sweat and said, Old Madam and Elder Master were talking about Miss Su. It seems that Elder Master and Miss Su broke up. The old butler didn't dare to say anything else. What welcomed Bailey Han was a storm. As soon as he stepped into the living room of the old mansion, he felt the suffocating pressure in the living room. The whole family stared at him with dark faces. Old Madam stabbed the floor with her walking stick. Han, tell me, why did you break up with Yunqian? We're not compatible. After all, Su Yunqian was the woman he had loved for many years. Even if she had made a mistake, he didn't want his family to hate her, so he didn't tell them the real reason. Not compatible? Bai Jinxiu couldn't help but raise her voice. You've been together for 6 years. You betrayed her back then and had Xiao Yi with another woman. Not only did she not break up with you, but she also magnanimously helped you get back on your feet. Don't you remember? Now you want to break up with her because of a simple, we're not compatible? How can you face her? Bailey Han's eyes darkened. A few years ago, he had a car accident. Not only did he lose his memory, but his legs were also seriously injured. He almost couldn't stand up. It was Yun Qian who accompanied him for 6 months of rehabilitation before he could stand up again. In the bottom of his heart, he was full of gratitude and trust for her. It was because of his deep love that he blamed her. When he found out that his perfect lover had become a woman full of lies and unscrupulous in order to achieve her goals, his heart hurt more than anyone else. He was silent. Bailey Xiong was furious. He slammed the table and scolded sternly, Han, how can you face the Su family by doing this? What will outsiders think of the Bailey family? Bailey Han's heart sank. He stared sharply at his father. Others can blame me, but you don't have the right to do so. The one who humiliated the Bailey family is not me, Bailey Han, but you. Back then, who didn't know that the young master of the Bailey family had a mistress outside and even brought his illegitimate child home? Even now, Lu Xiaoxiao was still living in the villa he bought for her. You unfilial son. Bailey Xiong was so angry that his blood pressure rose. He pointed at him with a trembling finger.
I'm telling you, as long as I'm alive, you must marry Yun Qian. Impossible. Bailey Han spat out these 3 words coldly. The elders were so angry that they were about to vomit blood. The old madam tried to suppress her anger. She raised her hand to stop Bailey Xiong from continuing. Her eyes were as sharp as knives. She stared at Bailey Han. Han, tell me honestly, did you break up with Yun Qian because of Xiaodong?
No, this has nothing to do with her.
Bailey Han said calmly. Grandma, she's an outsider. Don't drag her into this.
The old madam sneered.
An outsider? Han, I watched you grow up. You can't hide from my eyes. I know how special you are to her. I'll make it clear today. Even if you break up with Yun Qian, don't even think about marrying Xiaodong. As long as I'm alive, don't even think about it. Bailey Han's face darkened. He wanted to ask why everyone in the family hated Xiaodong so much, but he held back. If he brought the topic to Xiaodong now, it would only bring her trouble. He insisted on breaking up with Su Yun Qian. It had nothing to do with outsiders. The old madam said coldly, "Don't give me perfunctory words like unsuitable. Tell me honestly, why did you break up with Yun Qian?" Bailey Han frowned. Grandma, I've already made it very clear. If you don't have anything else to say, I'll go back first. Xiao Yi is still waiting for me at home. Don't you dare leave. The old madam stood up angrily, picked up the walking stick, and hit him. I'll kill you, you heartless thing. Yun Qian has been with you for so many years. Even if she didn't make any contributions, she still worked hard. How can you be so heartless? Bailey Han nimbly avoided her attack. He was extremely irritated. He didn't expect to face such a big resistance when breaking up with Su Yun Qian. The old madam missed every hit. Instead, she was so tired that she panted. She covered her chest and cried out in pain. Ouch, my chest hurts. Mom, don't be agitated. Sit down. Bailey Xiong hurriedly supported her. Bai Jinxiu asked the servant to bring the medicine and helped the old madam take it. Bailey Han saw that she didn't seem to be pretending and became anxious. He quickly went forward and rubbed her back. Grandma, how are you? Do you feel better? Welfare Xinwu 799. Chapter 158. The old madam took a deep breath and slapped him on the arm. Tears streamed down her face. You brat, why are you always so worrisome? I thought that you would be more mature now that you're a father, but you still did something so infuriating. Grandma, don't be agitated. Be careful not to hurt your body. If you're angry, take it out on me. I'm thick-skinned, so I'm not afraid of being hit. Bailey Han caressed her back and coaxed her. The old madam huffed. What's the point of hitting you? If you really want to appease my anger, apologize to Yun Qian and reconcile with her quickly. Great-grandma, grandpa, grandma, daddy. No one noticed that Xiao Yi had suddenly appeared at the door of the living room. Baby Yi, why are you here? The old madam quickly waved her hand. Xiao Yi walked in front of her and looked up pitifully. Great-grandma, don't blame my daddy. Baby Yi, Great-grandma isn't blaming your daddy. I'm just discussing something with him. The old madam carried him onto her lap and stroked his head. How did you get here? I asked the chauffeur uncle to send me here. Great-grandma, I suddenly thought of something, so I came over. You won't blame me, right? Xiao Yi leaned his head into her arms and said crisply. Oh, you mischievous boy. How dare you come out of the house alone? Aren't you worried that great-grandma will blame you? Now you know how to worry. Her beloved great-grandson was acting coquettishly in the old madam's arms. Her anger subsided a lot. She pinched his soft cheeks and said, What did you think of that made you come over? Xiao Yi looked at the old madam innocently with his big eyes. His little face puffed up slightly, making him look very lovable. I was thinking about how I rolled down the stairs that night. The old madam was shocked. What happened? Xiao Yi paused and said, I accidentally heard Auntie Yun Qian talking to someone on the phone. The other party seemed to be called Godfather. That night, I went up the stairs with Auntie Yun Qian, and I asked her who Godfather was. Auntie Yun Qian seemed to be in a panic. She told me not to talk nonsense. I lied to her.
I said I knew who the godfather was, and she pushed me down the stairs. Xiao Yi's face was full of fear, and her small body trembled. She hugged the old madam's waist in fear. Great-grandmother, I'm so scared. The old madam was shocked. She hugged him tightly and patted his back. Xiao Yi, did you make a mistake? Why would Yun Qian push you down the stairs? Xiao Yi suddenly raised her head. Her bright eyes were filled with tears and her face was full of fear. Great-grandma, I didn't make a mistake. I didn't lie. She really pushed me down the stairs. No, how could this be? How could this be? The old madam couldn't believe it. Yun Qian had always been good to Xiao Yi. How could she do such a thing? If someone else said it, she definitely wouldn't believe it. But Xiao Yi never lied. Bailey Han's feelings were very complicated. He had always wanted to find out the truth about Xiao Yi falling down the stairs. But when he found out the truth, his heart hurt more than anyone else. Bai Jinxiu and Bailey Xiong were also shocked. Bai Jinxiu shook her head. I don't believe it. Xiao Yi, did you lie because you didn't want Yun Qian to be your mommy? I didn't. Grandma, every word I said was the truth. Xiao Yi said angrily. Bailey Han rubbed his brows and said in a deep voice, Mom, Xiao Yi didn't lie. That night, I heard Xiao Yi and Yun Qian's conversation at the top of the stairs. Did you also see Yun Qian push Xiao Yi down the stairs? Bai Jinxiu was very satisfied with Su Yun Qian as her future daughter-in-law, so she naturally spoke up for her. Also, who is the godfather? Why did Yun Qian panic when she heard his name? The whole thing is completely baffling. Mom, although I didn't see Yun Qian push Xiao Yi down the stairs, I believe that Xiao Yi wouldn't lie. When Bailey Han looked at his mother now, it was as if he was looking at himself in the past. His bias towards Su Yun Qian had already reached a terrifying level. Mom, the godfather is the middleman of a city's killer organization. Why did Yun Qian panic when she heard his name? Why did Xiao Yi hear her talking to the godfather? Isn't the information revealed clear enough? Bailey Han didn't want to involve Xia Dong's matter. Bai Jinxiu still didn't want to believe it. Old Madam's face turned pale. She was more rational than Bai Jinxiu, and of course, she thought more deeply than her. What else could a middleman of a killer organization do? It was either to reminisce about the past or to hire a killer. If it was the former, Yun Qian didn't have to panic. If it was the latter, it proved that she wasn't as kind and virtuous as she appeared to be. Since she wasn't a kind person, it was very likely that she pushed Xiao Yi down the stairs to silence her. Old Madam could accept that the woman in Bailey's family was ruthless. Otherwise, how could she support the whole Bailey's family? But she could only be ruthless to outsiders, not her own family. If Su Yun Qian really did something to hurt Xiao Yi, then she couldn't enter Bailey's family. Old Madam already had a plan in her heart, but she didn't rush to make a conclusion. She looked up at Bailey Han and asked, Is this why you broke up with Yun Qian? Bailey Han didn't say anything, which was a tacit admission. Xiao Yi refused to let Su Yun Qian off easily. He tugged at Old Madam's sleeve and said, Great-grandma, I heard that Aunt Yun Qian is pregnant. It's not Daddy's child. Xiao Yi, don't talk nonsense. Bai Jinxiu scolded him harshly. You're still a child. What do you mean by pregnant? Where did you hear it from? Don't tell anyone. It'll ruin Yun Qian's reputation. I'm not talking nonsense. Xiao Yi's eyes were filled with tears. He looked very pitiful. Old Madam couldn't bear to see Xiao Yi sad. Okay, Jinxiu, Xiao Yi is still a child. Just teach him well. Why are you shouting so loudly? He touched Xiao Yi's head and said, Xiao Yi, where did you hear it from? I heard Daddy and Aunt Yun Qian quarreling that day, Xiao Yi said aggrievedly. Old Madam's face darkened. Han, what's going on? Bailey Han was very helpless against his son's method of forcing a duck onto a perch. He had no choice but to tell them the truth. This matter started 2 months ago. Actually, we didn't have sex. Her pregnancy was also fake. Bai Jinxiu had never heard anyone mention Su Yun Qian's pregnancy until now. After hearing so much information all at once, she was shocked. Old Madam's heart became clear. Only then did she realize that Su Yun Qian was not simple. She had said that she had a miscarriage at the hospital back then, probably to cover up the fake pregnancy. How dare you hide this kind of thing from me? Old Madam was disappointed in Bailey Han, and even more disappointed in Su Yunqian. Bailey Han did not refute and said lightly, Grandma, I've already made up my mind to break up with Yunqian. Don't force me any more. Old Madam suddenly looked a lot older. She sighed. Forget it. A forcibly picked melon won't be sweet. Let it be. Bailey Han frowned. Mom, how are we going to explain this to the Su family? Old Madam pinched the space between her eyebrows. Han and Yunqian broke up half a month ago. The Su family hasn't said anything. I guess they don't know about Han's breakup either. Let's leave it at that for now. If the Su family really wants to fall out with us, we have nothing to be afraid of. After all, we're on the side of reason. After the storm, everyone except Xiao Yi looked a little tired. Bailey Han brought Xiao Yi back to the villa. The father and son did not speak along the way. The atmosphere in the car was tense. The driver was sweating profusely. He brought the young master back to the old mansion without the eldest young master's permission. Would he be punished? Fortunately, Bailey Han did not mention this. After getting out of the car, Bailey Han sent Xiao Yi back to the room. Xiao Yi sat at the head of the bed unhappily with a sullen face. Bailey Han squatted in front of him and asked, Why are you unhappy? He pouted. Because Daddy is angry. Daddy, are you angry because I said bad things about Auntie Yunqian in front of great-grandma? Daddy is not angry. Bailey Han did not know how to explain his complicated feelings to him. He could only say, Auntie Yunqian might have done something wrong temporarily. If everyone knows that she did something wrong, she might never have the chance to change. I just don't want to see great-grandma blame Daddy. Xiao Yi's serious expression warmed Bailey Han's heart. He hugged his son tightly and said softly, Daddy knows. Xiao Yi reached out and hugged him. After a moment of silence he said, Daddy, do you still remember what Mommy looks like? Bailey Han paused. I don't remember. Why are you suddenly asking about this? Xiao Yi's mood suddenly fell. Because I saw Xiao Bao and the others playing happily with Chief Editor Xia today. Bailey Han's body stiffened. He lied to him. Xiao Yi's mommy is a very gentle person. She loves Xiao Yi very much, just like Daddy. Really? Xiao Yi's big eyes welled up with tears. However, he buried his head in Bailey Han's chest and did not let him see it. It's true. Bailey Han gently stroked his back. Daddy, can you tell me how you met Mommy? There was a hint of nervousness in his soft voice. Bailey Han smiled bitterly. Actually, he did not remember either. He could only change what old Madam had told him before and tell Xiao Yi. Your mommy and I met at a bar. We fell in love at first sight and soon had you. But why don't you remember what Mommy looks like? I really want to know what Mommy looks like. Xiao Yi was very sad. He had never even seen his mommy's photo since he was young. Even when he dreamed of Mommy, he could not clearly see her face. Daddy was once in a car accident and forgot a lot of things. He also forgot your mommy. Xiao Yi, don't be sad. Daddy promises that he will love Xiao Yi even more in the future. Make up for your mommy's share, okay? Bailey Han saw his son cry sadly and felt worse than being stabbed by needles. Xiao Yi choked and said, Okay. Awesome novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 159. Xia Dong brought Xiao Guai to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor said that Xiao Guai's condition was still good and there was no further deterioration. This meant that the chemotherapy had temporarily controlled her condition. At the same time, he suggested that Xia Dong send the child to the hospital as soon as possible for easier treatment. Xia Dong planned to send Xiao Guai to the hospital for hospitalization after Mika Kito returned to China. The side effects of the chemotherapy on Xiao Guai were starting to show. When Xia Dong was combing her hair in the morning, she would secretly pinch a handful of hair that had fallen out behind her back and quietly throw it into the bottom of the trash can. After every chemotherapy session, Xiao Guai would be very tired. From the time she left the hospital until she got into the car, Xia Dong would always carry her and put her in the front passenger seat. She would fall asleep very quickly. Every time this happened, Xia Dong would feel very upset. She wished she could bear all the pain on behalf of her daughter. Xiao Guai fell asleep again. Her little face was abnormally pale, without a trace of blood. While waiting for the traffic light to turn green, Xiaodong took out a clean blanket and covered her body. After Xiaodong turned around, she inadvertently saw the car beside her. The driver was Lin Shihao. Beside him was a beautiful woman. The woman smiled and said something to him. Lin Shihao also smiled. Then the woman took a tissue and wiped his forehead. Her movements were natural and practiced. Lin Shihao calmly accepted it. Xiaodong frowned. They seemed to be very close. After returning home, she still could not forget that scene. After thinking for a long time, she decided to give Yi Siki a call. Yi Zi, I went for a prenatal checkup today and realized that old Lin was not around. Didn't he go to work today? Yi Siki laughed. Yeah, you should have called him in advance. He went to a conference today. Just him alone? No, I heard from him that he went with a colleague. Xiaodong replied with an "oh" and teased. Could it be a woman? Yi Siki smiled. He was with a female doctor. Old Lin said that she was his junior and had just returned from America not long ago. The director even specially instructed him to bring her out to see the world. Why is the dean involved again? You don't understand. Elder Lin's junior is the dean's daughter. Xiaodong said half-jokingly. The dean's daughter is beautiful and capable. Aren't you worried that she will fall for your husband? Yi Siki scoffed at her words. Old Lin tells me everything. Do you think I need to worry? Xiaodong smiled. I'm not asking you to suspect him. I just want you to be more careful. Even if Lin Shihao doesn't have any bad intentions, there are so many beautiful doctors in the obstetrics and gynecology department. Who knows if they will have any ideas? Don't worry. I have absolute faith in our old Lin. How many men like him can you find who would still give me a gift on Qing Festival after 7 years of marriage? Xiaodong smiled bitterly. You're right. I can't find many like that. Men these days would coax you nicely when they were dating, but after they married you, they would become a completely different person. Then that's it. Don't worry about us. You should think more about yourself. Yi Siki started to talk about the usual. Didn't Bailey Han treat you to a meal 2 days ago? How was it? Xiaodong rubbed her eyebrows. What do you mean by how was it? It was just like that. He didn't take the opportunity to confess. Can we not talk about this anymore? Xiaodong scratched the sofa. Yi Siki snorted. You didn't directly reject my question, so that means he confessed. Hurry up and tell me the truth. Xiaodong face-bombed. It's a loss for this industry if you don't become a paparazzi. Don't change the topic. Hurry up and tell me the truth. If you resist, you'll be severely punished. If you confess, you'll be lenient. All right. Xiaodong scratched her head. Actually, it wasn't really a confession. And it wasn't on the day he treated me to a meal. Io girl, can you please get to the point? Why are you dawdling? Xiaodong was speechless. My dear lady, you're really hard to please. All right, I'll tell you. When he was discharged from the hospital, tell me. Although she was just repeating Bailey Han's words, Xiaodong's face still started to burn. Yi Siki clicked her tongue and sighed. I told you that he was interested in you, but you didn't believe me. With your EQ, if you were really in a relationship, you'd be so anxious. If you like him, you like him. Why do you have to beat around the bush? She really thought too highly of Bailey Han. Xiaodong was speechless. Yi Siki sighed. Actually, I've always thought highly of Mika Kito. Although he looks cold, he treats you and the children quite well. But the problem is that his profession is too dangerous. If you were to be with him, you'd be in a lot of danger. Comparing him to you, Bailey Han's advantages are obvious. Yi Siki didn't say anything else. She planned to change it to matchmaking Bailey Han and Xiaodong in the future. Xiaodong felt that she had failed. She had called Yi Siki to remind her to be more careful, but she didn't expect her relationship problems to be exposed. She quickly changed the topic. Your old Lin will be in the hospital tomorrow, right? I'll go for a prenatal checkup tomorrow. Yi Siki's long-winded speech was stopped by her. Although she didn't want to give up, she was afraid that if she said too much, Yi Siki would be annoyed. So she followed her lead and said, Yes, old Lin will go to the hospital tomorrow. Xiaodong heard the ringtone and said, Yi Zi, I have another call coming in.
I'll hang up first. Okay. Call me if you need anything.
Xiaodong ended the call with Yi Siki and answered Bailey Yun's call.
Fox, what's the matter? Bailey Yun's voice was a little low.
Xia, I want to meet you.
Sure. You can decide the time and place. I know you have to take care of the children. I'll come to your place tonight. I'll call you when I arrive. Bailey Yun sounded a little off.
Xiaodong was worried and asked a few more questions. He said that it was fine and that they would meet again tonight. Who would have thought that in the evening, it would start to drizzle? Xiaodong called Bailey Yun, but no one picked up. She walked to the window from time to time and looked out. She lived on the 5th floor and the window faced the neighborhood, so she could see everything clearly. After about half an hour, a Lamborghini slowly drove into the neighborhood. Xiaodong had already changed her clothes. She said a few words to the children and went downstairs with her phone and umbrella. Before she entered the elevator, she received a call from Bai Liyun.
Xia, I'm at your place. Come down. Okay. Give me 2 minutes. I'm going into the elevator.
She walked out of the door and saw him standing in the rain without an umbrella. The rain fell on him sporadically.
She quickened her pace and walked over to him.
She held the umbrella over his head and said, "It's raining.
Why didn't you wait in the car?"
His hair was already wet. His handsome face was also covered with rain. His charming fox eyes were slightly narrowed as he stared straight at her.
What's wrong?
Xiaodong felt uncomfortable being stared at by him. He smiled and chuckled.
I'll take you somewhere.
Okay. Xiaodong followed him into the car and handed him a tissue.
Wipe your face.
You're all wet.
Bailey Yun took the tissue and wiped his face casually.
The Lamborghini slowly drove out of the neighborhood. After driving for more than 10 minutes, it stopped on the road near the man-made lake.
We're here.
Bailey Yun suddenly leaned over. His handsome face was getting closer and closer to her.
She grabbed the seat belt awkwardly.
He chuckled.
I'll help you unbuckle your seat belt.
I can do it myself. Xiaodong quickly unbuckled her seat belt and got out of the car. Bailey Yun walked to her side and held her hand. Without looking at her, he said softly, "The steps are slippery. Be careful." Xiaodong was too embarrassed to push his hand away. The man-made lake wasn't very big. There was a pavilion beside it. When Xiaodong got closer, she realized that there were dozens of lotus lanterns floating in the lake. All of the lotus lanterns were gathered in the shape of a heart. Although the rain wasn't heavy, there was wind. The wind blew the candles in the lotus lanterns until the flames flickered, but none of them went out. "Did you light all these lanterns yourself?" He nodded and asked with a chuckle, "Do they look good?"
"Yes, but why did you light so many lanterns?"
Xiaodong was still wondering why he was so wet when the rain wasn't heavy. It turned out that he had lit the lanterns in the rain earlier.
Bailey Yun's face twitched uncontrollably.
He reached out and knocked on her forehead.
"I beg of you. Can't you be a little more romantic?"
Xiaodong rubbed her forehead innocently.
"It's not that I'm not romantic. It's just that I find it strange. It's not like today is a special day."
By the lake, the night was cold. In the lake, the candlelight flickered and the waves were beautiful. They stood in the pavilion, quietly looking at the lake and the candlelight. He suddenly reached out his arm and turned her shoulder around. His eyes looked at her seriously, as if he wanted to see into her heart. She was a little flustered. Bailey Yun held her shoulders with a serious expression. "Xiaodong, I love you." He thought about what Xiao Tianxing said for a long time. In the end, he decided to stake everything on one throw to let her understand his feelings.
"I love you."
This was the first time someone had confessed to her in such a clear and straightforward manner, but she was still extremely flustered.
"Fox, don't joke around."
His fingers gripped her shoulders so tightly that they hurt. His voice was serious and urgent.
"I'm not joking.
Xiaodong, I've liked you for 5 years. Her heart trembled. She bit her lip and didn't dare to look into his eyes. He waited anxiously for her to speak. After a long time, Xiaodong finally said the 3 words that he didn't want to hear the most. "I'm sorry." His heart, which had been in his throat, suddenly fell to the bottom of the valley and shattered into pieces. After a long time, he found his voice again.
It was bitter and hoarse. Why? Xiaodong smiled bitterly. Look, I already have 2 children, and I'm pregnant with a third. You, on the other hand, are handsome, rich, and charming. We're not compatible at all. The light in his eyes disappeared. He stared at her flat stomach in disbelief. Why, you're pregnant? Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 160. Xiaodong nodded and stroked her abdomen with her right hand. It's already been 3 months. He looked as if he had been struck by lightning. His face was pale and he let go of her stiffly. The child is Mika Kito's? Do you love him? Xiaodong did not know how to answer him. She wanted him to give up, so she should answer him accordingly. However, she did not want to use Mika Kito as a shield anymore. Why aren't you answering me? He shouted agitatedly. Do you know how much courage I had to muster to confess to you? Are you not even willing to give me a reason? She looked up at him. The dim light cast a shadow on her face. My heart has been given to the 3 children. I don't have the energy to talk about feelings anymore. Fox, let's just be friends. She picked up the umbrella and wanted to leave. He suddenly grabbed her hand. You really can't do that? I'm sorry. Other than these 3 words, she did not know what else to say. Inch by inch, he let go of her hand and watched as she walked further and further away under the streetlights with the umbrella. The pitter-patter of rain had unknowingly become heavier, and it fell into the lake. The lotus lanterns were extinguished one by one, and in the end, there was only a single lantern left floating in the lake. Bailey Yun looked at her figure disappearing into the night. His mood was terrible. He had failed. Was he really going to give up on her? After walking a distance, the tears in Xiaodong's eyes finally fell. She was so silly. The fox liked her for 5 years, but she didn't realize it. Or rather, she knew it, but she pretended not to know. It was all because she was greedy for his elegance and the warmth he gave her. A figure approached her. She was startled and raised her head abruptly. What she saw was Bailey Han's familiar face. He was holding a black umbrella and seemed to have blended in with the night. Why are you here? Bailey Han looked at her. His handsome face was unusually handsome under the dim light and his whole body was cold. I'm just taking a walk. One had to know that it would take an hour to drive from his house. He really knew how to walk around casually. The 2 of them were silent. Unknowingly, they had already reached the ground floor of her house. She mumbled, I'll go up first. His voice was cold. Aren't you going to invite me up? Out of politeness, she should indeed invite him up to have a seat. However, their current situation seemed to be very awkward. I'll send you up. Before she could say anything, he had already made the decision for her. He entered the elevator first and pressed the button to wait for her. The floor numbers jumped, and when the number reached 4, the elevator suddenly shook and stopped moving. The lights went out, and the small space was plunged into darkness. The elevator was out of order. Xiaodong quickly took out her phone and used the weak light to illuminate the elevator. Bailey Han also took out his phone and called for help while reaching out to press the elevator alarm. Don't be afraid, the maintenance staff will be here soon. Bailey Han comforted her after ending the call. Xiaodong smiled bitterly. We're really unlucky. We've never encountered an elevator malfunction before. What a coincidence that the 2 of us encountered it together. Bailey Han suddenly hugged her and said in a low voice, You know, I'm very glad that I walked into the elevator with you just now. Her heart trembled. Why? He stroked her long hair and his actions were unbelievably gentle. How could I be at ease leaving you alone in here? It would be a lie to say that she was not touched. Her heart felt like it was stuffed with a ball of cotton. She even forgot to push him away and muttered, You shouldn't be so good to me. He smiled bitterly. I don't want to either. I know that you're someone else's woman, but I just can't control myself. Because he couldn't control his longing for her, he drove to her neighborhood and happened to see a scene that he shouldn't have seen. Xiaodong felt helpless. She realized that she had gotten herself into a lot of emotional debt. Did Ayun confess to you? There were so many lotus flower lights. He only needed to look at them from afar to understand Bailey Yun's intentions. She softly said, Oh. Then how did you reply to him?
His hand involuntarily tightened around her shoulders. She laughed. Didn't you say that I'm someone else's woman? Of course, I could only reject him. Looks like you really love Mika Kito. Bailey Han's anger rose in an instant. The narrow space was filled with a cold aura. She gently pushed him away and pursed her lips. She didn't say anything else. The atmosphere suddenly became very tense. Just then, someone knocked on the elevator door. The people inside don't worry. We'll get you out as soon as possible. There were clanking sounds outside the door. It was the maintenance staff using tools to pry open the elevator door. Soon, the elevator opened a very small gap. The gap grew bigger and bigger. A head peeked in from above the elevator door. It was a man in his 40s. Both of you, give me your hands. I'll pull you up. It was only then that Xiaodong realized that the elevator had stopped between the 4th and 5th floor. It was about 1.5 meters below the entrance of the staircase. If it were any other day, Xiaodong could easily climb up. But now she was pregnant. Come up. Bailey Han understood her predicament. He squatted on the floor with his back facing her and pointed to his shoulder. She couldn't help but recall the time when they were on the deserted island. After she was bitten by a snake, he carried her on his back. He was already impatient. What are you waiting for? It's not the first time. Xiaodong's face instantly darkened. What did he mean by it's not the first time? It sounded very easy to think of strange things, okay? She carefully climbed onto his shoulder. He stood up steadily and slowly. The maintenance staff outside the elevator reached out to grab her and pulled her out. The maintenance staff reached out again and pulled Bailey Han out. Thank you so much. Xiaodong thanked the two maintenance staff gratefully. The maintenance staff exchanged a few pleasantries and continued to deal with the malfunction. Xiaodong and the others climbed the stairs upstairs. When the door opened, Xiao Bao, who was nestled on the sofa playing on the computer, didn't even raise his head. He said lazily, Mom, why were you gone for so long? I'm back now, aren't I? Xiao Bao, stop playing. Uncle Bailey is here. Hurry up and say hi to Uncle. Xiaodong took out a pair of clean slippers and placed them beside Bailey Han's feet. Xiao Bao quickly raised his head. His dark eyes stared intently at Bailey Han. His tone was a little harsh. Bailey Han, what are you doing here? Xiao Bao, don't be so rude. Xiaodong reprimanded him sternly. Xiao Bao rarely got yelled at so harshly by her. He felt very wronged and glared fiercely at Bailey Han, who had just entered the room. I hate you. He quickly jumped off the sofa, hugged his laptop, and ran back to his room. Bailey Han didn't look too good. Xiaodong was full of guilt. I'm sorry. Xiao Bao is too willful. I didn't teach him well. His thin lips moved. It's okay. She quickly asked him to sit down. What do you like to drink? Tea. He looked around the living room. Although he had been here a few times, he had never really looked at it seriously. It was a very warm and cozy place that made people feel relaxed and comfortable. He leaned against the soft sofa and watched as she picked up the tea set. Her movements were elegant as she heated the teacups and poured the tea leaves. The tea leaves slowly sank and the tea leaves unfolded. The water vapor mixed with the fragrance of the tea rose like clouds. Her expression was calm as she poured, and ordered the tea. The tea slowly flowed into a small transparent glass teacup. You know the art of tea. Every time he got close to her, she would give him a new surprise. I have a lot of time now. I'm interested, so I learned a little. Sorry for making a fool of myself. He picked up the teacup and smelled the fragrance of the tea leaves. No, it's very good. He wasn't lying. Her skillful postures were even more standard and elegant than those rich miss who came from wealthy families and had learned the art of tea. She chuckled. He put down the teacup and looked at her. Are you still feeling unwell now that your drug addiction is acting up every day? I'm already much better. The antidote you brought is very effective. I haven't thanked you properly yet. He smiled. You already owe me a lot of thanks. It doesn't matter if you owe me one less time. She raised her eyebrows. Are you blaming me for not repaying you? He crossed his arms and looked at her provocatively. You're the one who said it. I've never said it before. Xiaodong's mouth twitched. He had indeed never said it before. He had only asked her directly how she was going to repay him. Mom! Xiaobao suddenly ran into the living room in a panic. Gigai has a fever. Xia Dong stood up from the sofa. The back of her hand accidentally hit the teacup and the hot tea spilled all over the table. It also scalded the back of her hand. She didn't take it to heart at all. She said, "Excuse me," and rushed to her daughter's room. Bailey Han frowned. His eyes were filled with worry as he chased after her. Xiao Guai was lying on the bed with her eyes tightly shut. Her delicate eyebrows were knitted together and her little face was filled with pain. Xia Dong quickly checked her temperature on her forehead. It was frighteningly hot. She quickly took a jacket and put it on Xiao Guai. Then she carried her and said to Xiao Bao, "Baby, Mommy will send Gigai to the hospital. After I leave, lock the door and go to bed early. Don't make me worry." "I got it, Mom. Hurry up and go." Xia Dong turned her gaze to Bailey Han. "I'm sorry. My daughter is sick. I have to take her to the hospital." "I'll go with you." Bailey Han stretched out his arm without hesitation. "It's inconvenient for you. I'll carry the child." Xia Dong didn't refuse. She placed the child in his arms, took her handbag and umbrella, and hurried out. The elevator was working normally. Xia Dong was still a little worried. Bailey Han had already carried his daughter into the elevator. She had no choice but to follow. Fortunately, the elevator didn't have any more problems. It was still raining. Bailey Han took off his jacket and wrapped it around Xiao Guai. Xia Dong held the umbrella over their heads. Bailey Han found his car and put Xiao Guai in the back seat. "Sit behind the child. It'll be easier to take care of her." Xia Dong was worried that the rain on her body would get on Xiao Guai, so she took off her jacket. Bailey Han turned up the temperature. Beauty novel, Song Shu 566. Chapter 161. Xiao Guai was sent to the emergency room. Xia Dong sat in the corridor of the hospital and waited anxiously. Xiao Guai had been fine before she went out to meet Bailey Yun. Why did she suddenly have a fever? A fever meant that there was a possibility of infection. Severe anemia was more difficult to control after an infection, and it could be accompanied by complications such as sepsis. Xia Dong couldn't control her mind and kept coming up with scary thoughts. She stared at the door of the emergency room, and her teeth clenched slightly because of her trembling. Bailey Han sat beside her and clearly felt her fear. He couldn't help but reach out and hold her cold right hand. He whispered, "Don't worry, Xiao Guai will be fine." He didn't understand why she was so scared when it was just a common fever and a cold. His strength seemed to be transmitted to her through his palm, making her feel that she wasn't alone and that there was someone with her to get through this difficult time. Her emotions gradually stabilized. Bailey Han felt that Xia Dong had stopped trembling. He wanted to retract his hand, but he couldn't bear to. Unexpectedly, she suddenly pulled her right hand out and said softly, "Bailey Han, thank you. It's late now, you should go back first." An inexplicable anger surged in his heart. "Do you think I can leave at this time?" So what if she relied on him a little? Xia Dong bit her lip and didn't say anything else. She was afraid that she would become more greedy for his warmth and hurt his heart. She had already caused enough trouble and didn't want to add another one. They sat quietly in the corridor. Even though they didn't speak, Xia Dong's heart calmed down a lot. After some time, the door of the emergency room finally opened and the doctor walked out. Xia Dong hurriedly went up to him and Bailey Han followed closely behind. "Doctor, how's my daughter?" The doctor's gaze fell on the two of them. "The patient is out of danger, but she's still in a high fever and her respiratory tract is infected. We're already thinking of ways to control her condition. Doctor, please save my daughter." Because she had always been careful in the past, even though Xiao Guai's health was poor, he had never been infected. Once she heard that Xiao Guai had a respiratory infection and a high temperature, Xia Dong panicked. "Don't worry. Your daughter's current situation is already considered relatively good among the similar diseases. Trust us, there will be a way to control her infection." "Thank you, doctor, thank you." Xiao Guai was sent to the isolation ward. After Xia Dong and Bailey Han disinfected themselves, they put on isolation suits, masks, and gloves before they were allowed to enter the ward. Her face was pale. She was lying in a pile of instruments, and there was a thin tube in her nose. Xiaodong felt distressed when she saw it. She blamed herself. If she hadn't gone downstairs to see Bailey Yun, if she had stayed by her daughter's side, her daughter might not have had a fever. Bailey Han patted her shoulder. When they came out of the isolation ward, Bailey Han's expression was grave. What illness does Xiao Guai have? From the conversation between the doctor and Xiaodong, he had already guessed that Xiao Guai's illness was not simple. It's just ordinary anemia. Xiaodong didn't dare to tell him the truth for fear of arousing his suspicion. He naturally didn't believe it. Although he wasn't a doctor, he knew that ordinary anemia couldn't have such serious symptoms. Her refusal to tell him the truth made him very angry. But she didn't have time to care. Looking at her watch, it was already past 10 o'clock. She said, "I'm going to make a call." She took out her phone and walked to the end of the corridor to call Lu Xing. She told him about Xiao Guai's illness and that she would be at the hospital to accompany Xiao Guai. She also asked him and Suzaku not to worry and asked him to come to her house to take care of Xiao Bao. When she came back after the call, Bailey Han was nowhere to be seen. She thought that he had already gone back, but she didn't expect him to come back a few minutes later. He said lightly, "I've already asked the nurse, miss, to arrange for someone to take care of you. You can go home and rest tonight." "Thank you, but I'm worried. I'll stay too." He grabbed her wrist and his handsome face was cold. "Have you forgotten that you're pregnant? If something happens to you, who will take care of Xiao Guai?" She was stunned and couldn't refute him. "You have nothing to say? Very well, I'll take you home now." He grabbed her wrist and dragged her forward. She quickly grabbed onto the bench. "Wait a minute. I want to see Xiao Guai again." He let go of her hand. She stood in front of the window of the isolation ward and looked at her daughter who was still unconscious through the glass. She prayed silently in her heart that her daughter would be able to get through the night safely, that her body temperature would drop quickly, and that her respiratory infection would be controlled quickly. "Okay, let's go." She was afraid that the more she looked at her daughter, the more reluctant she would be to leave. She steeled her heart and turned to leave. It was already 11 o'clock when they arrived downstairs. Bailey Han insisted on taking her upstairs. Standing at the door, she took out the key to open the door. Just as she put the key in, the door was opened by someone from inside. Lu Xing stood in front of them expressionlessly. His eyes were cold and murderous through his thick lenses and sharp as a knife as he glanced at Bailey Han. His whole body was emitting a signal. "How dare you steal boss's woman? You don't want to live anymore." Bailey Han completely ignored him and said goodbye to Xiaodong calmly. "Be careful on the road." Xiaodong watched Bailey Han enter the elevator and glared at Lu Xing. "Lu Xing, do you have to be so obvious?" "Am I?" Lu Xing's tone was indifferent. "I think my expression is very normal." "Your expression is very normal because you've always been expressionless. But your eyes are about to freeze." Xiaodong was speechless. "Do you hate Bailey Han that much?" Lu Xing said indifferently, "If I liked him, things would be serious." "Lu Xing, so you also know how to joke. Be careful that no girl likes you when you're always so cold." Lu Xing's mouth twitched. "No, I'm very popular in Japan." A flock of crows flew over Xiaodong's head. Sure enough, she shouldn't have had too high expectations for Lu Xing's humor. Xiaodong scratched her head. "You can sleep on the sofa tonight. You don't mind, right?" "Yes, sure." Xiaodong ran into the room, took a clean blanket and pillow, and laid them on the sofa. It seemed that she had to prepare a simple single bed in case of emergencies. Xiaodong rushed to the hospital early in the morning. The prenatal checkup that was originally scheduled for the morning was postponed to the afternoon. Xiao Guai hadn't woken up yet, but the doctor said that her body temperature had dropped last night. Other than a respiratory infection, there were no other symptoms for the time being. Xiaodong was so excited that she kept thanking the doctor. After more than half an hour, Yi Siki also arrived at the hospital with a thermos of chicken soup in her hand. "Why did you make chicken soup? Xiao Guai hasn't woken up yet. She can't eat it now." Yi Siki scooped a small bowl with a spoon and handed it to her. "This is for you. You were worried about Xiao Guai, so you definitely didn't eat well. You can take it, but the baby can't. Quick, drink it while it's hot." Holding the warm chicken soup in her hand, The room was filled with the fragrance of chicken soup. Xiaodong was very touched. After drinking the soup, Xiaodong said, "Yesterday, it was Bailey Han who sent Xiao Guai and I to the hospital. I'm a little worried that he will find out about Xiao Guai's illness." "Why don't you just tell him the truth?" Seeing them so conflicted, Yi Siki felt tired for them. "How can I do that? If the old madam finds out, she'll eat me up." Xiaodong was scared when she thought about the scene back then. "When will you stop being like this? Can you hide it from him forever?" "I'll hide it for a while. When the baby is born and Xiao Guai's illness is cured, I'll leave City A. By then, the truth won't matter anymore." Xiaodong leaned back in her chair and chuckled softly. "I realize that I'm like a frightened bird now. As long as there's even the slightest movement, I'm worried that the truth will be revealed." Yi Siki hit the nail on the head. "But Bailey Han's feelings for you seem to be getting deeper and deeper. What do you plan to do about it?" She laughed. "What do you think I'm best at?" Yi Siki rolled his eyes. "Running away." Whenever she encountered relationship problems, Xiaodong would run away. Yi Siki was really speechless with her. Just as they said this, Xiaodong's cell phone rang. It was Bailey Han. "How is Xiao Guai now?" "She's much better. Thank you for your concern. I'll visit her after work tonight." "Okay, sorry to trouble you." Every sentence was very polite, as if she was chatting with a stranger. Bailey Han frowned. "You take care of yourself too." Okay, I know." After the call ended, Yi Siki looked helpless. He was right. Bailey Han was getting more and more attentive to Xia Xia. It was a pity that Xia Xia wasn't willing to give him any response. Yi Siki sat for a while longer. Xiaodong urged her to go home, saying that her daughter was also home alone. Xiaodong walked Yi Siki to the elevator. When the elevator doors opened, she bumped into someone she didn't want to see. Xia Zhenxing. Xia Xia. Xia Zhenxing also saw her. The moment the elevator doors closed, he pressed the button and walked out. Xiaodong looked at him coldly. After not seeing him for a few months, he looked even older. He must have been exhausted because of Su Xingchen's matter. "Xia Xia, why are you here? Are you sick? Or are the children sick?" Xia Zhenxing asked with concern. Xiaodong said indifferently, "Why are you concerned about me instead of your precious daughter?" Xia Zhenxing's expression froze and he squeezed out an ugly smile. "Xia Xia, you're also my daughter. Xingchen is now staying in this hospital. I only found out later that Xingchen had done a lot of things to hurt you. Xia Xia, I apologize on her behalf." Xiaodong wanted to laugh. There were so many hospitals in a city, but they just had to stay in one. "How much is a catty for your apology?" "It's too cheap." "I don't care. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave." She turned to leave. "Xia Xia," he wanted to hold her back, but when his fingers touched her wrist, he was mercilessly flung away. Add Song Shu 566. Chapter 162. Xia Zhenxing watched as she walked further and further away. In the end, he couldn't help but secretly follow her. In the end, he found that she had stopped in front of the isolation ward. He didn't dare to approach her and could only watch from afar. When she changed into the isolation gown and entered the ward, he acted like a thief and leaned against the wall. He saw his cute little granddaughter lying on the hospital bed, her face pale and weak to the point that it made his heart ache. His phone suddenly rang. Xia Zhenxing hurriedly covered his phone and quickly ran away. He lowered his voice. "Honey." "Xia Zhenxing, where are you now? Why haven't you come down after so long?" Su Murong's unhappy voice came from the phone. "I just asked you to come down and get something. You're not happy, are you?" "Honey, you misunderstood. There were too many people in the elevator, so I waited for a few more minutes." Xia Zhenxing quickly ran to the elevator. When he reached this floor, he quickly pressed the button. "Hurry up and come down." Su Murong didn't wait for his reply and impatiently hung up the phone. Xia Zhenxing ran all the way out of the hospital. In the parking lot outside the hospital, a luxury car was parked. Seeing him appear, the car window slowly rolled down. Su Murong handed a bag of clothes out of the window. She frowned and complained, "This is Xingchen's change of underwear."
Give it to the nurse. You knew that I had to go to the company for a meeting, so why didn't you hurry up? Xia Zhenxing took the bag and smiled. Okay, I got it. Honey, hurry up and go. Su Xingchen stayed in the VIP ward on the 12th floor. Ever since her face was disfigured, her temper became more and more irritable. She was like a firecracker. As long as someone said something she didn't like, she would fly into a rage. Because of this, Xia Zhenxing had to be careful. He even helped to say a lot of good things to the doctors and nurses. Although her temper was irritable, in front of Su Murong, she was as obedient as before. So every time Su Murong heard Xia Zhenxing say that Su Xingchen's temper became worse, she didn't take it seriously. This only increased Su Xingchen's temper. When Xia Zhenxing returned to the ward, Su Xingchen was throwing a tantrum again. The things on the bedside table were scattered all over the floor. The cause was that Su Xingchen's hair was accidentally hooked by the nurse when she wiped her body. Su Xingchen had her first plastic surgery and her face was wrapped in gauze. She leaned against the bed and pointed at the nurse's nose and scolded her. The nurse's nurse is sorry, but she didn't let her. Xia Zhenxing couldn't stand it anymore. He put the bag aside and said, Xingchen, she didn't do it on purpose. Don't blame her anymore. She didn't do it? Then she did it on purpose to kill me? Xia Zhenxing's suit look. Teet, so what if I? Xingchen of her testes. Subi's not be laughed. Xia Zhenxing immediately shut his mouth. He knew that if he continued to argue, Su Xingchen's mood would only get worse. He waved his hand and called the nurse outside the door. Lowering his voice, he said, Little Wang, Xingchen's current condition is not good. She often says some unpleasant things. Don't take it to heart. Little Wang had taken care of many patients before and had seen many with bad tempers. However, it was her first time seeing someone like Su Xingchen. She felt wronged. Mr. Xia, I can't do this job. You should hire someone else. Little Wang, please be understanding. Xia Zhenxing said some nice words, but Little Wang didn't want to take it anymore. How about this, Little Wang? I'll give you double your salary. You can hold on a little longer, okay? Little Wang hesitated. The Su family was already giving her a high nursing fee. If she were to double it, the amount would be considerable. However, with Su Xingchen's temper. After hesitating for a while, she finally nodded her head. Xia Zhenxing breathed a sigh of relief. In this month, Su Xingchen had already angered 2 nurses. If Little Wang also quit, he really didn't know where to find such an experienced and good-tempered nurse. After comforting the nurse, Xia Zhenxing returned to the ward. Xingchen, you rest for a while. I'm going out to do something. Didn't you just come downstairs? Su Xingchen had been lying on the bed for a long time. Whenever she saw someone else walking around freely, her heart would burn with anger. I just came downstairs to get your clothes. I'm going out to buy some fruits for you. Okay then. Come back quickly. Xia Zhenxing didn't take the elevator directly to the ground floor. Instead, he stopped on the 7th floor. This was where he met Xia Dong. He wanted to take a few more glances at Xiao Guai. On Xia Dong's side, the situation was a bit complicated. She didn't expect her aunt and uncle to suddenly visit the children at her home. Lu Xing didn't know the situation and directly told them that Xiao Guai was hospitalized. The 2 elders rushed to the hospital. When they saw Xiao Guai in the isolation ward, they immediately thought that Xiao Guai was seriously ill. They didn't believe Xia Dong's words and directly ran to the doctor's office to ask about Xiao Guai's condition. Xia Yun kept wiping her tears. How did this happen? How did Xiao Guai get this kind of illness? Xia Dong comforted. Aunt, don't be sad. Xiao Guai's illness can still be treated. She will definitely get better. Xia Yun's expression suddenly became fierce. Pah! She slapped her on the arm. Xia Dong, you're so capable now, aren't you? How dare you hide such a big thing from me? If I didn't find out now, how long were you going to hide it from me? Aunt. Xia Dong hugged her arm. Just like when she was young, she softly begged for mercy. Aunt, don't be angry. I just didn't want you and Uncle to worry. It's all my fault. Scold me all you want, but please don't be angry. If you hurt your body, Uncle and I will be heartbroken. You're so glib. Xia Yun angrily poked her forehead with her finger and sighed.
I heard from the doctor that Xiao Guai has to undergo an umbilical cord blood transplant. What should we do? Xia Dong leaned over and whispered something in her ear. Xia Yun's expression became even worse. She stared at her in disbelief. You're pregnant? The child is Bailey Han's? Yes. Xia Dong nodded. So, Aunt, don't worry too much. After the baby is born, the doctor can operate on Xiao Guai. How could Xia Yun not be worried? Xiao Guai's matter had been resolved, but Xia Dong had suddenly been promoted from a mother of 2 to a mother of 3. Moreover, she didn't have a husband. What would others think of her? She held Xia Dong's hand tightly. Xia, let's hurry up and find a man to marry. How about Mika Kito? I think he treats you very well. He's been taking care of you all these years in Japan. He knows you very well. Aunt, I've always treated him as an older brother, Xia Dong said helplessly. If her aunt knew that Mika Kito was in the underworld, she definitely wouldn't have said those words. Then I'll use my connections and find someone to introduce you to a blind date. Let's try to get married after the baby is born. Xia Yun was very decisive. She looked up and asked her husband, Gao Mingyuan, Honey, are there any male teachers in your school who are around 30 years old who are not married yet? If there are any suitable ones, you can introduce them to Xia. Aunt, Xia Dong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You're dreaming. I'm a mother of 3 now. Who would want me? Child, how can you say that? Xia Yun was very protective. She was unhappy when she heard this. She poked her forehead with her finger. So what if you're a mother of 3? You're so young, beautiful, and capable. Who would dare to dislike you? I'll fight him. Xia Dong quickly hugged her arm. Aunt, let's not rush. Let's not talk about this first. The most important thing now is to treat Xiao Guai's illness. Xia Yun was worried. Xiao Guai's illness is important. Your marriage is also important. Anyway, I want the baby to be born with a father. Xiao Bao and Xiao Guai were born in Japan. It was fine if they didn't have a father, but now the baby in her belly must be born in China. She must find a father for the baby. No matter how Xia Dong tried to persuade her, Xia Yun took this matter to heart. While they were chatting, they found that Xiao Guai in the isolation ward had woken up. They quickly changed into isolation clothes and went to see her. Gigai, you're awake. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? The 3 adults surrounded her. Mommy, great-aunt, great-grandpa. Xiao Guai's eyes slid across them. Her big eyes had lost their usual luster. Her pink lips were dry and cracked, and her soft voice was hoarse. Mommy, I feel so uncomfortable. Where do you feel uncomfortable? Tell Mommy. Xia Dong sat by her bed and held her little hand with heartache. My chest hurts. My throat hurts. My head is dizzy, and I want to vomit. Don't be afraid. Great-aunt will call the doctor for you. Xia Yun let Xia Dong stay with the child while she hurried out to call the doctor. Unexpectedly, when she reached the corridor, she saw Xia Zhenxing walking over in a panic. She shouted, Xia Zhenxing. Xia Zhenxing had been peeking outside the isolation ward. He didn't expect Xia Yun to suddenly come out and be caught red-handed. He looked embarrassed. What are you doing here? Are you peeking at Xiao Guai? Xia Yun was angry when she saw him. She said angrily, Don't come here again. We don't want to see you again. Xia Yun shouted so loudly that everyone in the room heard it. Xia Dong didn't want to go out and cause trouble for herself. Gao Mingyuan was afraid that Xia Yun and Xia Zhenxing would quarrel, so he said something and went out to persuade them. Wife, this is the hospital. Don't shout so loudly. It's not good to be seen by others. Gao Mingyuan walked to their side. Xia Yun snorted and glared at Xia Zhenxing. Forget it. I don't want to talk nonsense with you now. With that, she went to find the doctor. Xia Zhenxing's old face turned red and white. Gao Mingyuan looked at him. Old Qi, Xiao Guai is seriously ill. Xia Dong and Xia Yun are both upset. It's better if you don't appear in front of them for the time being. Xia Zhenxing looked embarrassed. I know. I just want to know how Xiao Guai is. What illness does she have? Attention, Hongcha 866.
Chapter 163. Aplastic Anemia. Gao Mingyuan patted him on the shoulder. I know you're not doing well either. I advise you to stay away from us. If the Su family finds out, they won't let you off easily. I understand. Xia Zhenxing was embarrassed by his words. Xingchen is also staying in this hospital. I'll go up first. Gao Mingyuan couldn't help but sigh as he watched Xia Zhenxing's fleeing figure. He still remembered how Xia Ling and Xia Dong had suffered when Xia Zhenxing abandoned them. He also knew that Xia Zhenxing had secretly helped Xia Ling's small restaurant, but Su Murong soon came looking for them. The next day, a group of hooligans came and smashed Xia Ling's restaurant. He didn't need to guess to know that it was Su Murong's doing. Doctor, please take a look. How is the child now? After a detailed examination, the doctor said, the patient's temperature is normal, and the respiratory infection is under control. There are no other symptoms of infection. Her condition is relatively good. But the child is uncomfortable. Chest pain, throat pain, dizziness, nausea. Her upper respiratory infection is acute pharyngitis and laryngitis. Chest pain and throat pain are normal reactions. Dizziness and nausea are also symptoms of aplastic anemia. The doctor explained in detail and said, I'll prescribe some medicine for her to relieve her current symptoms. Thank you, doctor. After the doctor left, Xiao Guai lay weakly and pitifully, looking at Xia Dong with teary eyes. Mommy, it's all my fault. Gigai, what's wrong? Xia Dong stroked her hair. I really want to eat ice cream, but Mommy and brother won't let me eat it. Mommy wasn't home last night, so I ate ice cream without telling brother. It was because Xiao Guai ate ice cream that she got a fever. Xia Dong hugged her, her heart full of guilt. If she had been at home with the child, this wouldn't have happened. Big drops of tears rolled down from Xiao Guai's eyes. She sobbed, Mommy, it's all my fault. It's okay. Gigai, don't cry, Xia Dong coaxed her gently. Gigai will get better soon, but you can't eat ice cream anymore. Okay, I won't eat it anymore. Xiao Guai nodded sensibly. After lunch, Xia Dong went to the People's Hospital for a checkup. Xia Yun went home to make soup for Xiao Guai while Gao Mingyuan stayed at the hospital to take care of her. After the prenatal checkup, Lin Shihao said that both the fetus and the mother were healthy. Xia Dong hesitated for a moment and asked, Shihao, I want to know if the medicine has any effect on the child. When will it be tested? From the 16th to the 20th week of pregnancy, you can perform an examination for abnormalities. Through the Tang screening, you can screen the development of the fetus's neural tube. At around the 24th week, you can perform a three-dimensional ultrasound to observe whether the general structure of the limbs and organs is deformed. Xia Dong took note of the time seriously. Lin Shihao said, How is Xiao Guai now? Xia Dong repeated what the doctor said. Lin Shihao comforted her. She'll be fine after the infection is controlled. Don't worry too much. Okay, I'm fine. Go on with your work. I won't disturb you anymore. Xia Dong smiled. Someone knocked on the office door. Lin Shihao said, Come in. Bai Mei Wei walked in with a cup of coffee. She placed the coffee on Lin Shihao's desk and said with a smile, I bought coffee just now, and I bought a cup for you too. I know you like black coffee without sugar. Lin Shihao smiled. Thank you. Xia Dong recognized Bai Mei Wei. She was the woman who sat in Lin Shihao's car that day. Okay, senior. I won't disturb you anymore. Bai Mei Wei's gaze fell on Xia Dong. She nodded politely and walked out of the office. I should get going too. Shihao, sorry to trouble you. You don't have to be so polite. Lin Shihao walked her to the door of the office. Bailey Han got off work early and drove to the hospital to visit Xiao Guai. Yi Siki was also there. Xia Dong was feeding Xiao Guai food. Through the glass, he saw her patiently feeding Xiao Guai a spoonful of soup. Then she used a tissue to wipe away the soup stains on her lips. Yi Siki walked up to him. Bailey Han, I want to talk to you. They were sitting in the corridor. The door to the isolation ward was closed, so their voices couldn't be heard. Yi Siki looked up at the glass window. Xia Dong was focused on feeding Xiao Guai and didn't notice them. She lowered her voice and said, Do you really like Xia Dong? She thought he wouldn't answer, but to her surprise, he answered with a serious, yes. Yi Siki smiled. Will you despise her because she's an unwed mother? He frowned. No. He was an unwed father himself, wasn't he? If, and I'm saying if, Xia likes you too, will you marry her? Bailey Han's gaze was deep and penetrating. Miss Yi, what are you trying to say? Yi Siki smiled. Don't get so agitated. I just want Xia to be happy. Bailey Han's gaze froze. He said calmly, she has Mika Kito now. They're already engaged. Yi Siki retorted sharply. You and Su Yunqian were also engaged. Are you two together now? Bailey Han's face darkened. She's pregnant with Mika Kito's child. Yi Siki sneered. So you keep saying that you won't despise her child, but in the end, you're still despising the baby in her belly. Forget it. Forget what I said. She got up and was about to leave when Bailey Han's calm voice came from behind. What I really mind is that she loves Mika Kito. If it wasn't love, why would she be pregnant with his child? Yi Siki's back was facing him, and her lips curved into a satisfied smile. She turned around and looked at him quietly. What if I say that she doesn't love Mika Kito? Would you be willing to marry her? He didn't answer, but she could see his answer from his resolute gaze. She smiled and sat back down beside him. She said softly, Bailey Han, I'm only going to tell you this once. Listen carefully. Xia and Mika Kito are only pretending to be engaged. The child in Xia's belly isn't Mika Kito's. She's not a fickle woman. As for whose child it is, don't tell me you still don't know? Bailey Han felt a gush of hot air rush to his head. He was completely stunned. The thoughts that popped into his head were driving him crazy. His heart was pounding like a war drum. He almost wanted to rush in and interrogate that little woman who was full of lies. His deep eyes were filled with coldness as he stared fixedly at the glass window. His gaze was like an icicle piercing into Xia Dong's body. She actually had a fake engagement with Mika Kito. The child in her belly was really his, but she lied and said that it was Mika Kito's. Damn it, how could he fall for such a liar? But he deserved to die for liking her. Bailey Han clenched his fists. He wanted to beat himself up. Yi Siki smirked. You should keep these things to yourself. If you interrogate Xia, she will never admit it. Also, don't rat me out. Otherwise, I won't help you anymore. His voice was filled with suppressed anger. What else do you know? Whose children are Xiao Guai and Xiao Bao? Yi Siki shrugged. I won't say another word about them. If you're interested, you can check it out yourself. She muttered in her heart, Xia, don't blame me. I'm just thinking about your lifelong happiness. Yi Siki continued, don't blame me for not reminding you. Mika Kito will be back in a month at most. When that time comes, it will be much harder for you to pursue Xia. So you'd better take action now. He frowned. Okay, I'm going back now. You can keep her company. Yi Siki bid farewell to Xia Dong and Xiao Guai and left the hospital. Bailey Han changed into his isolation suit. Xiao Guai had already finished eating and was lying quietly in bed, listening to Xia Dong tell her a story. Seeing him, Xiao Guai was very happy. Her beautiful eyes curved into cute crescents as she said softly, Uncle Bailey, I'm so happy to see you. Bailey Han's eyes were full of smiles as he said gently, Why? Xiao Guai giggled. Because you're as handsome as Uncle Shen. Gigai, you're such a love-struck fool. Xia Dong pinched her little nose in annoyance. It was just a childish remark, but Bailey Han took it seriously. He sat on the chair beside her bed and expressed his opinion seriously. I'm more handsome than your Uncle Shen, right, Xia Dong? There was a mischievous look in his eyes as he waited for her answer. Xia Dong was speechless. You're both very handsome. Are you happy now? She had never seen such a narcissistic person. No, Uncle Shen is more handsome. Xiao Guai pouted unhappily. In her heart, Uncle Shen was closer to her, so she had to defend Uncle Shen, even though Uncle Bailey was actually a little more handsome than Uncle Shen. Xia Dong poked Bailey Han's arm and smiled mischievously. See, Xiao Guai doesn't agree with your opinion. It's okay. No matter what Xiao Guai says, it's always right. Bailey Han didn't mind at all.
There was a doting look in his eyes as he smiled and stroked Xiao Guai's hair. However, he didn't expect that a gentle touch would cause him to remove several strands of hair. He had a bad feeling in his heart. He calmly hid the strands of hair in his palm and smiled as if nothing had happened. Gigai, Uncle will bring Brother E to see you tomorrow, okay? Okay. Xiao Guai's eyes sparkled. She suddenly turned her gaze to Xia Dong. Mommy, let Brother come over too. The three of us can play together, okay? Okay. Mommy will bring Brother over tomorrow. After chatting for a while, Xiao Guai was tired. Xia Dong sang a nursery rhyme to coax her to sleep. After she fell asleep, they quietly left. Bailey Han stretched his arm in front of her and opened his palm. What's going on? Add, Song Shu 566. Chapter 164. Xia Dong looked at the hair in his hand and her heart tightened. She said bitterly, she's anemic and doesn't have enough blood, so her hair loss is more serious. Even if she's anemic, her hair loss shouldn't be this serious. He held the hair in his hand and looked at her deeply. Xia Dong, don't lie to me anymore. What illness does Xiao Guai have? Xia Dong gritted her teeth. Anemic. Bailey Han's face darkened. It's okay if you don't want to tell me. I can ask the doctor. You're not the patient's family. You have no right to get the patient's condition from the doctor. I have many ways to get the doctor to tell me. She sat on the bench and covered her face with both hands. Her voice was tired. Bailey Han, don't force me. I'm not forcing you. I just want to know the truth. He just wanted to enter her life and understand her better. But I don't want to say it. I beg you, leave me some dignity, okay? She suddenly looked up at him. Her beautiful face and beautiful eyes were covered with a layer of mist. His heart softened. She wanted freedom, so he gave her freedom. She wanted dignity, so he gave it to her. However, she was the woman he liked. Even if he had to go to the ends of the earth, he would not let go. He did not continue the previous topic. You're tired. I'll take you home. Xia Dong heaved a sigh of relief. She took one last look at Xiao Guai and Gigai followed him home. Bailey Han drove seriously and stared ahead. He said lightly, Ah Yun has decided to go to America. Xia Dong was shocked. America? Why? He said he's going to America to start a business. After Bailey Yun's last confession failed, he went to Charm Club and got drunk. He slept at home for a day and then suddenly announced to his family that he was going to America to start a business. Only Bailey Han knew the real reason. He had been rejected by Xia Dong, so he hid abroad to recuperate. As for starting a business, Bailey Han had reservations. Xia Dong fell silent. She guessed that Bailey Yun went abroad because she rejected him. After Bailey Han sent Xia Dong home, he sat for a while before leaving. When Xia Dong walked him to the door, he suddenly said, I want to touch your belly. Let me feel the baby, he said seriously. Xia Dong blushed. She grabbed his outstretched hand and placed it on her abdomen. She said softly, It's only 3 months. I can't feel the fetal movement. Her abdomen was slightly protruding. When he placed his hand on it, there was a strange feeling. His expression was calm, but his heart was in turmoil. He couldn't help but be excited. That was his child. Even though the child hadn't moved yet, he had a feeling that it was his flesh and blood. He suddenly pulled her into his arms and said hoarsely, Take good care of the baby. She was at a loss. Yes, I will. Okay, I'm leaving. He stroked her hair gently and looked at her abdomen with a tender gaze. His warm gaze made Xia Dong feel uneasy. Could it be that he had found out something? No, that's impossible. If he knew that the baby was his, he wouldn't be so calm. Yes, that's right. It was already past 10 o'clock. Xia Dong was still hesitating whether she should call Bailey Yun to ask about the situation. However, she had just rejected him. If she contacted him now, it would be like rubbing salt on his wound. Bailey Han's words before he left suddenly appeared in her mind. His flight is tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He might not be back for a few years. After this parting, they would not see each other for a few years. And she had always treated Bailey Yun as a very important friend. Xia Dong hesitated for a while, but in the end, she still dialed his number. The call went through, but the person on the other end was silent. She said embarrassedly, "Fox, it's me. I heard that you're going to America." Bailey Yun tightened his grip on the phone, the veins on the back of his hand popping out. However, his voice sounded casual. "Yes, my flight is tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the afternoon." She bit her lip, not knowing what to say. It was as if she was worried that she would hurt him. In the end he spoke first. Xia, if I were as capable and powerful as Mika Kito, would you be with me?" Xia Dong was silent for a long time. "Fox, I treat you as a good brother." "I understand." He chuckled softly. She couldn't see the broken light in his eyes. "Will you come to send me off tomorrow?" "I'm sorry, Xiaoguai is sick. I have to take care of her at the hospital." "Fox, I wish you a safe journey." Xia Dong used all her strength to say this. Her heart felt as if it was being grabbed by a large hand, painful and suffocating. Since she didn't love him, she shouldn't give him any more hope. City A's International Airport. The afternoon sun was scorching. It shone through the glass windows onto the ground of the departure hall, casting a white shadow. Bailey's family members were all sending Bailey Yun off in the airport hall. Bailey Yun smiled and said goodbye to them one by one. He seemed to have matured overnight. The smile on his face was no longer as unrestrained as before. Instead, it had a sense of stability. He squatted down and stroked Xiao Yi's head. "Xiao Yi, second uncle is leaving now. If you have any problems chasing girls in the future, you can look for me any time." Xiao Yi's eyes were red. She puffed up her cheeks sternly. "Second uncle, the next time you come back from America, you have to bring me a little ant. Otherwise, I'll despise you." "Oh, you still dare to despise me?" "We'll talk about it when you're older." Bailey Yun smiled and gestured at his waist. "Ah Yun, take good care of yourself when you're in America. Don't make me and your mommy worry anymore." Although Bailey Yun was a playboy, Bailey Xiong still liked him the most. His eyes were red as he reminded him. "I know, Daddy. You have to take good care of yourself too." Bai Jinxiu didn't come. Bailey Han patted him on the shoulder. "If you have any difficulties, remember to look for me." Bailey Yun grinned. "Brother, I've caused you a lot of trouble since I was young. I'll try my best not to cause you any more trouble in the future." Before leaving, old Madam, who had always disliked him, also said a few words of comfort. "Ah Yun, it seems that you're really sensible. We don't expect you to create a big career. As long as you're safe and sound outside and don't cause trouble, we'll be satisfied. If you have any difficulties, just tell us. No matter what, we'll always be a family." Bailey Yun hugged her. "Thank you, Grandma." It was time to board the plane, but the person he wanted to see the most still didn't come. Bailey Yun's lips curled up mockingly. He shouldn't have had any expectations a long time ago, right? 5 years ago, he returned to the country in a carefree manner. 5 years later, he left sadly. The only thing that didn't leave him was the small boarding box in his hand. He didn't have any big luggage. Dragging the small boarding box, he took one last look at the city and the entire departure hall. Then, he waved to his family, raised a bright smile, and embarked on a new journey in life. His back disappeared in a bright light and disappeared at the boarding gate. Xia Dong hid behind the shelves of the convenience store in the airport, tears streaming down her face. Suzaku stood behind her and handed her a tissue. She said lightly, "Bailey's family has left." "Okay, thank you." Xia Dong took the tissue and wiped the tears on her face awkwardly. "You're already at the airport. Why don't you go see him?" Suzaku talked about this matter in a tone that sounded like she was talking about the weather. "Let him leave without any expectations. Only then will he start a new life, right?" Xia Dong had already sorted herself out, but her eyes were a little red. Suzaku narrowed her eyes. "I don't understand. Maybe he already doesn't have any hope. What he wants is for you to send him off as a friend. But now, he's obviously very disappointed." Xia Dong was startled. If Suzaku was right, then didn't she break Bailey Yun's heart? On the plane, as soon as Bailey Yun sat in his seat, he tightly covered his face. His shoulders trembled slightly, and a weak choking sound came from his throat. "Sir, are you okay?" The beautiful stewardess asked with concern. Bailey Yun maintained this posture and didn't answer. Only the arc of his shoulders gradually became smaller. Sir. The stewardess called out again, but there was still no response. She took a tissue, bent down and handed it to Bailey Yun's fingers, and said softly, Sir, don't be sad. Parting is for a better meeting. Her soft voice crashed into Bailey Yun's pained heart. He slowly took the tissue from her hand and said with a hoarse voice, Thank you. You're welcome. The stewardess smiled sweetly and walked to the next passenger. When he raised his head, he only saw a pretty figure. I won't be able to sleep with this thing. Li Duobao sighed. Besides, this is a gift that he intends to give to his beloved. What's the matter with me accepting it? She had already made up her mind to keep the bracelet well. As long as she found that man, she would return it to him. Bailey Yun walked out of the airport. It was morning in New York. The city was bustling with people and no one would stop to look at him. He swore that he would let everyone in this city know his name within a year. Lin Yi once asked him why he didn't stay in a city if he was determined to develop his career. It was the place where he grew up. He could also get the protection of his family. He replied that he wanted to be like Bailey Han. He wanted to use his own ability to make the people in Bailey's family look at him in a different light. He wanted to make her look at him in a different light. But at that time, he didn't know that Xiaodong wouldn't wait for him for a year. The thing that Su Yunqian was worried about finally happened. She went to visit the old madam. The old madam's attitude towards her suddenly became lukewarm. Bai Jinxiu, who had always loved her, also distanced herself from her. Su Yunqian knew that her plan was exposed. Seeing that the situation wasn't right, she immediately changed. Tears poured out of her eyes and she said in a sobbing voice, Grandma, Mommy Bai, I'm here today to apologize. The old madam said faintly, Why do you say that? Grandma, I know that I'm wrong about pretending to be pregnant. But that's because I love Han too much. Su Yunqian said as she wiped her tears. Her pitiful look was really beautiful. Grandma, you know how Han treats Xiaodong. I'm afraid that he will be taken away by Xiaodong. I'm also worried that he will remember the past because of Xiaodong. His head. Add, Hongcha 866. Chapter 165. Her crying stopped just in time. Old Madame Dowager frowned. That was exactly what she was worried about. However, what Su Yunqian did challenged her bottom line. She would never forgive her. Bai Jinxiu's heart softened when she saw Su Yunqian crying so hard. She said to Old Madame Dowager, Mom, what Yunqian said makes sense. Old Madame Dowager said coldly, Let's just forget about this. Yunqian, why did you hurt Xiao Yi? Grandma, I didn't do it on purpose. You have to believe me. That night, when little Wingzi told me about his godfather, I was very surprised. I wanted to cover his mouth to stop him from yelling, but he struggled and rolled down the stairs. Grandma, I'm sorry for Xiao Yi. After that, I was too scared to tell you. I'm sorry. Su Yunqian covered her mouth and cried bitterly. Old Madame Dowager looked at her coldly. Why were you so panicked when you heard about Godfather? Because. Su Yunqian looked embarrassed. It's fine if you don't want to say it. I'm tired anyway. Old Madame Dowager took her walking stick and gestured for her to leave. Su Yunqian hurriedly said, Grandma, listen to me. Godfather is the middleman of the killer organization in a city. Xingchen once contacted him to contact killers to kidnap Xiaodong. That's why I know about Godfather. Old Madame Dowager frowned. Kidnap Xiaodong? What's going on? Su Yunqian had already planned it out. She told Old Madame Dowager how Suzaku and White Tiger kidnapped Xiaodong, and how Su Xingchen became the mastermind behind the scenes. In short, there was only one central idea. All the bad things were done by Su Xingchen, and it had nothing to do with her. Old Madame Dowager's eyes were sharp. Xiao Yi said that she heard Godfather talking to you on the phone. Since you have nothing to do with this, why did Godfather contact you? Grandma, I only found out about this later. Godfather is Xingchen's godfather. I was the one who showed evidence that Xingchen was the mastermind behind all this. Godfather naturally hated me. He threatened me and asked me to take responsibility for Xingchen's crimes. I didn't agree, so he said he would teach me a lesson. It sounded reasonable, and even Bai Jinxiu began to believe what she said. Old Madame Dowager was also a little shaken. But no matter what, she couldn't forgive Su Yunqian for hurting Xiao Yi. Even if she said that she didn't do it on purpose and gave a good reason, old Madame Dowager was extremely protective. She couldn't accept that Su Yunqian didn't immediately stand up and admit her mistake because she was afraid. Old Madame Dowager paused and said, Yunqian, I've tried to persuade Han, but he's stubborn. I can't do anything about it. I don't want to ask about the relationship between the two of you. I'll let you deal with it yourselves. Su Yunqian gritted her teeth and could only agree. Okay. I'm tired. I'm going upstairs to rest. Since you're here, stay for lunch. It's okay, Grandma. I'll go back first. Have a good rest. Mommy, bye. I'll leave first. Su Yunqian knew that it was impossible to change their opinion of her in a short time, so she knew when to advance and when to retreat. Bai Jinxiu's attitude towards her was much gentler. She said, Yunqian, let me walk you out. Su Yunqian quickly said, Mommy, bye, you don't have to be so polite. Let's go. Bai Jinxiu gave her a look, hinting that she had something to say to her. The two walked out of the living room hand in hand. Bai Jinxiu whispered, Yunqian, little Jing is coming back. Old Madame Dowager listens to little Jing the most. When the time comes, ask little Jing to put in a good word for you. Su Yunqian was delighted. Thank you, Mommy, bye. I know what to do. The little Jing that Bai Jinxiu was talking about was Bailey Han's younger sister, Bailey Jing. She was also the only little princess in the family. She had been doted on by the whole family since she was young. Like Bailey Yi, she was old Madame Dowager's favorite person. Su Yunqian drove out of the Bailey mansion. She slowly came up with a plan in her heart. She didn't go to the company, but directly drove to the hospital where Su Xingchen was. China's extensive and profound cultural heritage had a saying, enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Su Yunqian felt that this saying was made for her and Xia Dong. Su Yunqian stood at the innermost part of the elevator. The moment the elevator closed, Xia Dong pressed the elevator button and walked in. However, Xia Dong didn't see her. Xia Dong walked out of the elevator on the 7th floor. Su Yunqian's brows furrowed and a trace of calculation flashed across her eyes. Uncle, I'm here to see Xingchen. Su Yunqian pushed the door open and entered. Xia Zhenxing was peeling fruit for Su Xingchen. Xia Zhenxing hurriedly gave up his seat. Yunqian, you're here. You guys chat first. I'll go out for a while. When Su Xingchen saw Su Yunqian, his temper rushed up. He said sarcastically, My dear cousin, don't you feel sick of seeing me make a fool of myself every few days? Only the two of them were left in the ward. Su Yunqian didn't have to pretend anymore. She smiled faintly. Sick of it? Why would I be sick of it? On the other hand, Xingchen, I heard that your temper is getting worse and worse. You even drove away a few nurses in anger. Your current state will only make the person who harmed you more excited. Su Xingchen sneered. Aren't you the one who harmed me? Su Yunqian ran her fingers through her hair and smiled brightly. Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. Even if you want to take revenge, you should know who your opponent is. To tell you the truth, I've already broken up with Han. Right now, Xia Dong is the biggest winner. Do you still want to fight with me and let her reap the benefits? Su Xingchen questioned. Do you think I'll believe your words? Su Yunqian retorted. You've already become like this. What's the point of lying to you? Su Xingchen was so angry that he almost broke his teeth. His head was wrapped in gauze, revealing only a pair of eyes filled with hatred. She said coldly, Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because I've become like this. Su Yunqian shrugged. Of course not. I know you have a very powerful godfather. She smiled lightly. Xingchen, I'm here to tell you a piece of good news. What good news can you have? She smiled mysteriously. Bailey Jing is coming back. Don't you think that's good news? Su Xingchen's eyes lit up. Bailey Jing grew up with him. Their relationship was very good. At least, in Bailey Jing's eyes, that was the case. Bailey Jing had a lot of authority in the Bailey family. If she was willing to help him, Su Xingchen couldn't help but clench his fists. Su Yunqian saw his reaction and laughed softly. I just saw Xia Dong on the 7th floor of the inpatient department. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Why is she here? I don't know. I'll leave first. Have a good rest. Su Yunqian achieved her goal and didn't stay any longer. Su Yunqian's words were like stones, causing 1,000 ripples in Su Xingchen's heart. Her hatred for Xia Dong increased day by day after her disfigurement. She wanted to know everything related to her. Su Xingchen found an excuse to send Xia Zhenxing away. Then, with a head full of gauze, he took the elevator to the 7th floor. She searched ward by ward and finally saw Xia Dong outside the isolation ward. She was playing with Xiao Guai. The mother and daughter were laughing happily. Su Xingchen couldn't wait to rush in and strangle them. In the evening, Su Murong came to visit Su Xingchen after work. Su Xingchen secretly told Su Murong about Xia Dong's daughter being hospitalized. Su Murong advised her not to act rashly, but Su Xingchen didn't give up. She had already found out that Xia Dong would leave the hospital every night after coaxing Xiao Guai to sleep. The best way to make Xia Dong suffer was to hurt the person she cared about the most. Su Xingchen's heart was twisted. As long as she thought about taking revenge on Xia Dong, she was filled with energy. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Bailey Han came to visit Xiao Guai. The two of them stayed in the ward to accompany Xiao Guai. Su Xingchen, who was secretly observing from outside the ward, had accumulated the hatred in her heart to its peak. It surged and howled, looking for an outlet to vent. When Xiao Guai fell asleep, Bailey Han sent Xia Dong home. The corridor was full of patients with bandages wrapped around their heads, but they didn't care. On the 12th floor in the VIP ward, Su Xingchen's caregiver, Xiao Wang, found that Su Xingchen was missing. He searched the entire floor but couldn't find her. He anxiously called Su Murong to report. At this time, Su Murong and Xia Zhenxing had just returned home from the hospital. When they heard that Su Xingchen was missing, they hurriedly drove to the hospital. On the other side, Su Xingchen didn't go through any sterilization or protective measures. She quietly entered Xiao Guai's ward. After entering, she pulled down the curtain of the isolation ward. Under the dim light, Xiao Guai was lying quietly, fast asleep. Su Xingchen sneered. She took out a pair of white gloves from the pocket of her hospital gown and put them on. She slowly stretched out her hand, took a pillow, and covered Xiao Guai's face with it. Her hands fiercely pressed down on the pillow. Xiao Guai's entire face was covered by the pillow. Her breathing was difficult. In her sleep, her two legs kicked wildly, her hands flailed wildly, and she fiercely struggled. Her small and weak body writhed in pain under the blanket, letting out a painful woo-woo sound. It was as if Su Xingchen had been injected with chicken blood. Her entire body was boiling with passion, and the feeling of revenge attacked her brain. She grinned and squeezed the pillow even harder. Xiao Guai's painful groans became softer and softer, and her struggling movements became weaker and weaker. At this time, the ward's door was suddenly opened. A figure flew over, grabbed Su Xingchen, and pulled her back a few steps. Su Murong rushed over. Her face was full of anger. She lowered her voice and said, "You're crazy. Come with me." "No, I'm not going. I'm going to kill her." Success was in the blink of an eye. How could she give up? Pah! Su Murong fiercely slapped her on the head. She suppressed her anger and roared, "Su Xingchen, stop messing around, come with me." Su Xingchen was stunned. Mommy actually hit her. Su Murong removed the pillow from Xiao Guai's face and casually threw it on a chair. She bent down to check Xiao Guai's breathing. She quickly grabbed Xiao Guai's wrist and dragged her out of the ward. The two of them looked like they were being chased by a monster. They hurriedly returned to the 12th floor. "Xingchen, where did you go? Your mommy and I were worried to death." Xia Zhenxing and Su Murong split up to look for Su Xingchen's whereabouts. When they heard that Su Murong had found her, they hurriedly rushed back from the upper floor. "Hubby, Xingchen couldn't sleep, so she went downstairs for a walk. Look at you sweating so much. Hurry and go wash up." Su Murong considerately handed a towel to Xia Zhenxing and pushed him into the bathroom. Only the mother and daughter were left in the room. Su Murong coldly said, "Xingchen, come with me." Su Xingchen knew that she was angry, so she didn't dare to say anything. She silently followed her out the door and to the rooftop. Pa! Su Murong slapped Su Xingchen's head. It looked fierce, but it avoided the wound on her face. Mommy! Su Xingchen touched her head with tears in her eyes. Don't call me mommy. I don't have a daughter as stupid as you. Su Murong was so angry that her whole body trembled. She pointed at her daughter's nose and said angrily, Su Xingchen, you used to be quite smart. How did you become an idiot now? Do you think that you can get revenge on Xiaodong just because you killed Xiao Guai? Have you ever thought that you're a criminal now? If you add the crime of intentional homicide, even if I'm the king of heaven, I won't be able to save your life. Mommy, I am wearing gloves. They won't leave any fingerprints. Also, no one knows that I entered Xiao Guai's room. They'll definitely treat it as a medical accident. Did your head get caught in the door? Su Murong wanted to pry open her daughter's head to see what was inside. If you think that no one knows that you entered Xiao Guai's room, then how do you explain that you went missing for more than an hour? Let me tell you, when everyone finds out about the grudge between you and Xiaodong, you'll be the #1 suspect. When Su Murong heard that Su Xingchen had gone missing, she suspected that she went to Xiao Guai's room. If even she was suspicious, then what about the police? Only then did Su Xingchen come to her senses. Hatred had made her lose her mind. She couldn't even find such a simple loophole. You just have to pray that Xiao Guai doesn't die so easily. Su Murong expected better from Su Xingchen. Xingchen, I know you hate them, but revenge is a dish best served cold. Why are you so anxious now? Su Xingchen mumbled, Mommy, I was wrong. I'll let it go this time. I just felt Xiao Guai's breath. She's still breathing. Su Murong didn't scare her anymore. She sighed, Xingchen, you're Mommy's only daughter. Mommy has your best interests at heart. I definitely won't harm you. Listen to Mommy and change your temper in the future. Stay calm. Su Xingchen nodded sadly. Okay, let's go back to the room. If we're any later, your daddy will be worried again. Su Murong softened her voice. The mother and daughter went downstairs to the room. When they entered the elevator, Su Xingchen suddenly thought of something and said, Mommy, I think I've been tricked by Su Yunqian. What happened? Su Murong's delicate eyebrows furrowed slightly. Only then did Su Xingchen tell her about Su Yunqian's visit in the afternoon. He also said that Su Yunqian told her that Xiaodong was on the 7th floor. If that wasn't the case, she wouldn't have gone to the 7th floor to investigate. She also wouldn't have known that Xiao Guai lived on the 7th floor. Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 166. Su Murong coldly snorted, Your uncle's precious daughter is much better than you. Look at how skillful she is at using someone else to do her dirty work. Xingchen, you should learn from her. Mommy, I was tricked by her. Why are you still speaking up for her? Su Xingchen said, feeling wronged. How did I give birth to such a good-for-nothing daughter like you? Su Murong poked her head with her finger and said resentfully, Think about it. Why can she use someone else to do her dirty work but you can't? Su Xingchen was startled. Suddenly, her eyes lit up and she said, Mommy, are you referring to Bailey Jing? Su Murong nodded in satisfaction. Think about it. Why did Su Yunqian tell you that Bailey Jing is coming back to China? Doesn't she want you to use Bailey Jing to deal with Xiaodong? Yes, that must be it. Then let her have her way. Su Murong's lips curved into a cruel smile. However, you want Bailey Jing to deal with not only Xiaodong but also Su Yunqian herself. Su Xingchen's eyes flashed with excitement. Mommy, I know what to do. I won't let you down again. On the 7th floor, the emergency beeper in the ward was ringing non-stop. Doctor, the patient in the isolation ward is suddenly suffocating. Prepare for cardiac resuscitation. Hurry and inform the patient's family. Hurried footsteps sounded in the corridor in the middle of the night. In the ward, the doctor and nurse were performing emergency resuscitation on Xiao Guai. The nurse was in the corridor calling Xiaodong. Xiaodong rushed over with a head of wet hair. She had just finished showering and was about to go to bed when she received the call from the nurse. She was so anxious that her heart was about to stop beating. Doctor, how is my daughter? The emergency treatment was over. The doctor wiped the sweat off his forehead and said, "The patient is saved." Xiaodong's body went soft and she almost collapsed. She leaned against the wall and said, "Doctor, thank you. But I don't understand why Xiao Guai suddenly stopped breathing." "We are also very curious about this matter." The nurse suddenly pointed to the pillow on the chair and said, "I remember very clearly that when I went out, I put this pillow next to Xiao Guai." "How did it get on the chair?" Xiaodong also remembered. Something flashed through her mind and she blurted out, "Doctor, when Sister Li and I left the ward, did any medical staff come in?" The Sister Li that Xiaodong mentioned was the nurse she hired to take care of Xiao Guai. The doctor frowned. "I don't think so. The routine examination is over." "Miss Xia, are you suspecting that someone deliberately hurt your daughter? It seems too far-fetched to just rely on a pillow." If this matter was true, then the hospital also had to take some responsibility. Xiaodong only thought for a moment and understood the doctor's concerns. She said with a serious expression, "I just think that Xiao Guai suddenly stopped breathing. It's a little strange. Doctor, I believe in this hospital. That's why I sent my daughter here. I also have reasons to think that the hospital should strengthen its management. This time, my daughter was saved, so nothing major happened. If something really happened, which one of you can bear the responsibility? Miss Xia, please rest assured. This kind of accident will not happen again." The door of the isolation ward was not locked. It was very likely that an outsider would break in. It was indeed their negligence in management. After this incident, Xiaodong was worried about leaving Xiao Guai alone in the hospital. She suggested staying with her daughter. The nurse, Sister Li, persuaded her for a long time, but she did not listen. The next morning, Xiaodong woke up in the ICU and found that she had a slight tendency to catch a cold. Her head was a little dizzy, her nose was blocked, and her throat was stinging. She went to the outpatient department to see the doctor. The doctor said that she had indeed caught a cold. It was probably because she went to bed before her hair was dry last night. After taking some cold medicine, her body felt weak and she wanted to sleep. Sister Li advised her to go home and rest. "Miss Xia, you have a cold now. It's better to go home and rest. It's broad daylight. I've been watching over Xiao Guai. Nothing will happen." Xiaodong thought about it. Sister Li was right. Moreover, she had a cold and it was easy to bring germs into the ward. So she gave a few words of advice and drove home. While driving, her head was dizzy. Once, she almost hit the railing on the side of the road. She was so frightened that she suddenly woke up. When she finally drove home, she was covered in cold sweat. "Mommy, why do you look so pale? Did something happen to Xiao Guai?" Xiao Bao saw her pale face and was shocked. "Xiao Guai is fine. I have a cold. Baby, Mommy took the medicine and is sleepy. I'm going to sleep for a while. Call me if you need anything." Xiaodong collapsed on the bed and fell asleep quickly. She did not even hear her phone ring many times. Bailey Han called Xiaodong's phone many times, but no one answered. He had a bad feeling in his heart. In the end, he called her home phone. Xiao Bao picked up. When the little guy heard his voice, he was like a kitten. All the fur on his body stood up vigilantly. "Why are you looking for my mommy?" "I just want to ask your mommy how Xiao Guai is doing." Bailey Han pinched his eyebrows. He did not understand why the little guy was so hostile to him. Xiao Bao snorted. "Guy is fine. I don't need your fake kindness." Bailey Han paused and asked again, "Where's your mommy? Why hasn't she answered the phone?" Xiao Bao said impatiently, "My mommy is sick. She's sleeping now. Don't disturb her." "Sick?" Bailey Han frowned. "Is it serious?" "It's just a cold. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm going to order takeout for my mommy. She definitely hasn't eaten yet." Xiao Bao rubbed his chin, thinking about what his mommy liked to eat. Bailey Han looked at the pile of documents on the table and then looked at his schedule for the day. He suddenly stood up from the chair and took his coat from the hanger. "Linda, I'm going out for a while. I'll be back in the afternoon. Call me if you need anything." "Okay, CEO." When Bailey Han drove his luxury car to the mall wearing a high-end handmade suit, he bought a lot of things in the vegetable and fruit section. He pushed the cart to the exit to pay the bill, which attracted the attention of many young wives and aunties. Some people even came up to him and asked, "Young man, do you have a girlfriend? Auntie can introduce you." Bailey Han's expression was cold. He said indifferently, "Thank you, Auntie, but I already have a girlfriend." Say, what a pity. The more the auntie looked at Bailey Han, the more she felt that he was her future son-in-law. It was a pity that he already had someone he liked. When Bailey Han said this, the hearts of the people around him broke. He paid the bill, rushed out of the crowd, and got into his luxury car with bags of various sizes. Xiao Bao heard the doorbell ring. He looked at the person outside warily before opening the door. "Bailey Han, what are you doing here?" Xiao Bao was speechless. Was the man in front of him carrying bags of various sizes really the cold and heartless king of hell in the business world, Bailey Han? "I'm here to see your mommy." Bailey Han did not wait for him to invite him in. He directly grabbed the bags and forced his way in. Hey, what are you doing? Don't touch my kitchen. Don't touch my fridge. That's my favorite bowl. Don't touch it." Xiao Bao followed behind Bailey Han with his short legs. Seeing him busy like a spinning top, he could not help but shout in exasperation. "Shoo!" Bailey Han suddenly squatted down and put his index finger to his lips, making a shushing gesture. "Don't be so loud. Be careful not to wake your mommy." At this moment, Bailey Han was wearing an apron with cartoon images printed on it. His cold and handsome face looked much gentler. He touched Xiao Bao's head. "I'll make something delicious for you later. The kitchen is very smoky. Gigai, go play outside." You, Xiao Bao's face turned red. After a long while, he squeezed out 3 words. "You rascal." Bailey Han chuckled and did not deny it. Xiao Bao flew into a rage out of humiliation. He kicked his leg and ran out of the kitchen angrily. Xia Dong woke up. She hugged the quilt and sat up in bed. Her head was still a little dizzy, but her cold symptoms had improved a lot. She grabbed a shawl and draped it over her shoulders. Yawning, she lazily walked to the living room and poured herself a glass of water. Holding it with both hands, she curled up on the sofa. A fragrant smell wafted from the kitchen, followed by the sound of cooking. Her mind was still not fully awake. She squinted her eyes and leaned against the soft sofa. She called out lazily, "Brother Shen." After calling out, she suddenly realized that something was wrong. Brother Shen had gone to Japan. Then who was cooking in the kitchen? Could it be Miss Tian Luo? She amused herself. Her mouth was open foolishly when a figure suddenly walked out of the kitchen with a plate of food in his hands. Xia Dong was instantly petrified. Bailey Han looked at her shocked expression in amusement. The corners of his lips turned up. "You're awake? Just in time. The food is ready. Get ready to eat." That man in the cartoon apron must have been a figment of her imagination. She must have opened her eyes the wrong way. "Let's do it again." Xia Dong muttered to herself for a while. She trembled as she opened her eyes again. She jumped in shock. A handsome face was enlarged in front of her. He looked slightly worried. "What's wrong? Are you still not feeling well?" Why are you in my house?" Xia Dong stammered. "I heard from Xiao Bao that you had a cold, so I came to take a look." Bailey Han reached out and touched her forehead. "Have you taken your temperature? Do you have a fever?" "I've taken it. My temperature is normal." Xia Dong pulled his hand away from her forehead and looked at him steadily. "Bailey Han, don't be so nice to me anymore. I'm not used to it at all." He was so nice that she felt guilty. Bailey Han chuckled. "Then you'll have to learn to get used to it, because I'm going to treat you even better." His straightforward words made Xia Dong blush slightly. He patted her head. "Wash your hands and get ready to eat. I'll call Xiao Bao." Ad. Songshu 566. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.